Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, several days had gone by. However, Wuxia did not feel much about it. As a Tier 5 transcendent, his concept of time had become somewhat blurred. A short meditation session was equivalent to several days, and a deep cultivation could mean a time span of several months. Relative to Wuxia's long lifespan, a few days was truly insignificant. Tier 5 transcendents like him had lifespans of thousands of years, even approaching tens of thousands of years. Moreover, considering he was a mutant willow that had transformed into an immortal tree, with his primary root as an azure dragon, Wuxia estimated that his lifespan would be in tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of years. Given such a long lifespan, it was no wonder Wuxia's sense of time had become increasingly vague. Just then. Master. Amidst a soft call, Wuxia saw a figure standing quietly not far away. The one calling him was a human with blood-red markings on his brow, donning a red cape, and holding his helmet in his hands, seemingly a sign of respect. This was Wuxia's fourth apostle, the master of magnetism, Yule. To celebrate his rebirth and bid farewell to his past, Wuxia had named him Stellar Magneto. The name didn't carry any special meaning, it was just a whim of Wuxia. However, the tremendous power of this individual did indeed impress Wuxia. If it was not for Stellar Magneto's love for the human race, Wuxia would not have been able to form a blood covenant with him so smoothly. After all, the stronger one was, the firmer was their will, and the less likely they were to agree to such a servant-like contract. When it came to natural disaster class experts like the Stellar Magneto, no one could force them to do anything against their will, even someone as strong as Wuxia could only watch helplessly. In such a case, Wuxia could only reason with him and appeal to his emotions. Even resorting to threats to form a blood covenant with him. Such a blood covenant would not impose too much mental burden on Wuxia. After all, despite his reluctance, this guy had agreed willingly, and in exchange, Wuxia swore by his Tao heart, gaining his trust. Now, this red-haired young man with hedgehog-like hair under the helmet had become Wuxia's fourth apostle. Among Wuxia's apostles, he was probably the most terrifying in terms of combat power. Race, mutant human level, tier, for innate talent, mastery of magnetism, he is able to easily manipulate magnetic waves and flexibly use them to his will. Unique abilities, magnetic sense. Through magnetic fields, he can sense everyone and everything around him. Nothing can escape his magnetic sense, even if the target was separated by millions of miles, he can still judge its strength through his magnetic sense. Metal control, he can easily manipulate metal, shaping it into various forms and use it for attack and defense. He can even lift a mountain of metallic ore and smash it down. Extreme speed, using the planet's magnetic field, he can move at speeds beyond human comprehension. Magnetic field projection, twisting and bending the magnetic forces to his will, he can project his image and use it for long-distance communication. Railgun, using the magnetic force, he can fire a silver coin that can erupt with a force hundreds or thousands of times its own. Magnetic strengthening, he can enhance his own body with magnetic force, increasing strength and endurance beyond human limits, and shortening reaction times to 1/15 of a normal human's. Invisibility, he can bend light around himself to achieve invisibility. Last stand, using magnetic fields, he can create a force field that isolates matter and energy. This force field is strong enough to withstand several thermonuclear weapons, and even allows him to survive in space. Glancing over it again, Wuxia couldn't help but sigh with emotions. What a freaking bug. A bug in the whole entire system. He has an almost omnipotent ability. He can easily switch between long-range and short-range attacks at will. Adding more to dread, he can move at high speed, become invisible, and even activate an absolute barrier, making himself immune to most damage. With a myriad of thoughts racing through his mind, Wuxia could not help but envy Magneto's innate talent. As a matter of fact, Magneto was truly outstanding. He had fully developed the power of magnetism, even some abilities that had not even occurred to Wuxia. However, considering that Magneto is backed by America, the forefront of human technological advances, it does make sense. His development in magnetism must not have been a solo effort. There must be a large team behind him. Nevertheless, even with all that, he seemed to have overlooked one thing. That is, the deeper development of magnetism, and the subsequent development of wormholes for safe long-distance transportation. And this was the primary reason Wuxia wanted to bring Magneto under his fold. Wormholes were means for ultra-long-distance transportation, and a genuinely strategic capability. With this ability, Magneto could determine stellar coordinates and lead a massive army across the stars for interstellar conquest. It was not that Wuxia wanted to travel through space using the Magneto's potential to slowly develop the ability to create wormholes. Rather, he hoped of making use of human resources and technological means to create artificial wormholes, using Magneto's ability as a research subject. Leading a vast army across the stars by himself was definitely beyond Magneto's limit. After all, the energy consumption involved in creating and utilizing a wormhole was far beyond imagination. However, if Magneto truly developed the ability to create wormholes, it could serve as a benchmark. With his wormhole ability, it would not be difficult for humans to replicate a similar massive apparatus using advanced technology. They would one day be able to build structures or equipment that could facilitate the use of wormholes. Alternatively, using human advanced technology to further enhance Magneto's wormhole transport capabilities was another way to achieve interstellar teleportation. This was the real reason why Wuxia truly wanted to bring Magneto under his fold. Subjugating Magneto significantly increased the possibility of waging war across stars. Furthermore, Magneto was not weak either. If given support, he just might become a fearsome force among the humans. At that point, Wuxia's control over the human race would have further cemented. In the shadows, there was the Dark Council, commanding the dark forces. In the light, there were Empress Ling Er, Saintess Aisha of Buddhism, and now Magneto in the fold. It could be said that if they unite, Wuxia would silently control 40 to 50% of the human forces. Hiya, Wuxia took a deep breath, feeling satisfied with the current situation. As a matter of fact, Wuxia had no plans of gaining complete control over the human race. He knew that it was totally unrealistic. However, just by relying on these 40 to 50% of the human forces, Wuxia could influence the entire human race in secret, and in return gain some suitable cannon fodder. Wuxia knew that there would be casualties inevitably in war across stars. And he was totally unwilling to send the powerful transcendence of Misty Mountains. He believed that it was better to use outsiders. And as for planting so many people among the humans, Wuxia had his reasons. Compared to other races, numbering in the tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, the human race had a huge population numbering in billions. With such a huge population, even if only a few powerful transcendents were born, those few would still amount to an astonishing number. Moreover, the human race was an innate spiritual race. Many terrifying races from the previous era awakened using the human race as a medium. Therefore, rather than saying he was controlling the human race, it was more accurate to say that Wuxia was plotting against the terrifying races of the previous era. Of course, Wuxia was not planning on ignoring various mutant beasts and sea creatures, as well as races like mutant bees, locusts, and rats, who were known for their numbers. He was planning on cultivating competent leaders who could indirectly control these races. With a faint smile, Wuxia pondered on plans for the future. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Wuxia, his recent actions had thrown the entire human race into a state of panic. America, the most technologically advanced human nation, suffered not only lost Skyhaven, the city built with sweat and blood, due to Wuxia's arrival, but also lost two great generals. As a matter of fact, the entire America had only a handful of natural disaster-class superhumans. And now, they lost two of them in quick succession, including the highly renowned master of magnetism. In a meeting room in America, with tension in the air, bam, someone suddenly slammed heavily on the desk. Idiots. You freaking idiots. It's been 3 days, 3 whole days. Yet, what did you come up with? The person shouting was Apocalypse, another natural disaster-class superhuman, who was filling in for the master of magnetism to lead America's world of superhumans. According to the rumors, he was America's secret weapon, but his temperament was extremely volatile, and only the master of magnetism could put him in his place. Now, with the master of magnetism gone, there was no one who could restrain him. Humph! With a cold snort, Apocalypse's gaze turned cold as he asked icily, "Tell me quickly, should we fight or not? If we fight, I will immediately lead the army of superhumans to advance towards Misty Mountains." At this, a weak voice suddenly echoed in the office, "Can we win? 18 superhumans almost got wiped out. If we go, wouldn't we just be heading to our deaths?" A wry and anguished voice put the entire meeting room into silence. Even the usually volatile Apocalypse could not help but take a long deep breath, falling silent. However, at that moment, someone else reminded everyone, just yesterday, White Tiger, the third great beast of Misty Mountains, crossed the ocean and demanded tribute from us. And warned us that if we refuse, Misty Mountains will declare war on us. Tribute. Apocalypse ground his teeth in fury, his eyes reddening with bloodshot fury. Utter humiliation, this is utter humiliation. To think that the peak forces of humanity are being asked to pay tribute. Damn these beasts. However, before Apocalypse could erupt in anger, the same person added further. Just 3 hours ago, the Vatican refused to pay tribute. In response, they were attacked by 6 natural disaster-class mutant beasts, accompanied by the roar of a giant dragon. The entire Rome was destroyed and countless were killed. Among the dead was the Pope, who fell in battle, his blood staining the city walls. Furthermore, 2 light attribute spirit stone mines were uprooted and taken back to Misty Mountains. Right after that incident, ASEAN and China both offered a mine to Misty Mountains. These tributes, rather than simply being offerings, are more a show of submission. Hearing this, the entire meeting hall sunk into a suffocating silence. After an unknown amount of time, a sigh escaped Apocalypse's lips, breaking the silence. Even someone as temperamental as him was helpless. "Forget it, I don't want to die yet. I won't be dealing with Misty Mountains anymore. I can't afford to provoke them, so I'll just avoid them." Dropping this sentence, a slight tremor shook the space, before Apocalypse disappeared without a trace. Seeing this, everyone present could only smile bitterly. Even the one in charge had fled. However, none of them realized that this was just the beginning. Because, at the same time, rohur, deafening and spine-chilling roars shook an entire sea. Accompanying the roars was a figure covered in spikes, resembling a giant serpent, 2,000 to 3,000 meters long, thrashing the entire sea. Leviathan, the sea beast king, and also one of Wuxia's sentinels. At this moment, patting Leviathan's forehead, a blonde girl gently spoke, "Big guy, don't be agitated. We're here to negotiate, not to fight. Let's hope that we can resolve this through negotiation, that would be best." Despite her words, a trace of sadness flashed in the blonde girl's eyes. As the former mermaid queen, she naturally understood her brother's fiery tempers. "If they knew that I'm here to ask the Sea Clan to pay tribute, they would probably want to kill me, but things are out of my hands. While Master has always hidden his strength and remained low-key, elder sister Ling Er is anything but that. The fact that she is known to the world as Empress already speaks volume for her dominant personality. Once she assesses the complete disparity between our strength and the rest of the world, she would deploy all the natural disaster-class experts, including the 9 great beasts, the 3 war generals, as well as the left and right guardians, even the top-tier experts subjugated during the invasions of Australia and Africa, like Behemoth, Red-beaked Platypus, Spirit Cat, plus the natural disaster class superhumans of the barbarian clan, and fearsome mutant beasts like the black serpent and the snow lion that have reached tier 4 are under elder sister Ling Air's command. We are all at her disposal. High is. Commanding such a fearsome force in secret, no wonder elder sister Ling Air's dominance has become so overwhelming, suffocating not only the human race but also other mutant beast clans. Accompanied by violent tremors, spiritual energy around the entire Misty Mountains shot up into the sky, as one spirit vein after another was uprooted by natural disaster class experts from around the world and sent to Misty Mountains. As a matter of fact, the spirit veins were the foundation of the planet. Each spirit vein could subtly influence its surrounding area, significantly enhancing the concentration of spiritual energy. As such, the spirit veins were the most crucial strategic resource in the world. Yet, dozens of spirit veins, with dozens being small-sized, several medium-sized, and 2 large-sized, were placed deep within Misty Mountains. The rising concentration of spiritual energy caused the spiritual energy to gasify, which made the mist enveloping the entire Misty Mountains even more hazy and mystical. Ra, a chimpanzee, the member of the strongest clan of Misty Mountains, roared towards the sky, beating its chest repeatedly. With every pound of its chest, its body grew bigger and bigger, growing to a height of over 10 meters from 3 meters in just a moment. Its thick and black hair fluttered in the wind, while its fierce and violent eyes flashed with a cold glint. However, even more shocking was its ferocious aura, which was further giving off an inexplicable oppression. It had reached tier 3. In just a few days, this was the 7th chimpanzee of Misty Mountain's strongest clan to reach tier 3, becoming a royal of the chimpanzee clan, King Kong. Shouting with a touch of excitement, the enlarged chimpanzee looked at a humanoid figure sitting cross-legged on a giant rock in the distance. Apart from his head, chest, and hands, his body was covered in black fur, with hair flowing down to his shoulders and draping from his neck to his chest. If it was not for the muscles on his chest unique to the primates, it would be hard to imagine it as the chief of the chimpanzee clan. This was Dark King, a terrifying existence born solely for combat. Raising his eyes slightly and glancing at King Kong, who had just reached tier 3, Dark King calmly ordered, "All 7 of you, go find Coach Qin Gang. Only by fully passing his hellish training will you truly gain our recognition." "Yes, Chief." With excitement, several King Kongs, each over 10 meters tall, began making their way towards Qin Gang's residence, the infamous Devil Coach of Misty Mountains. This was a unique ritual of Misty Mountain's strongest clan. Only true elites receive recognition, and Qin Gang's training from hell was the most convincing method. Furthermore, Qin Gang had also developed several new extreme training regimens recently. Some prodigies nearly perished under his intense training. However, thanks to the spirit pond bestowed by their master, they recovered after a few days of rest. Of course, for the strongest clan of Misty Mountains, such challenges were routine. Their training was even more terrifying and brutal, like 10x gravity chamber, lava hell, deadly poisonous bees. Each training method was astonishing and the best way to bring out their potential and push them to their limits. Dark King even explicitly told Qin Gang, even if they die during training, it doesn't matter. Our clan doesn't need weaklings. These simple words revealed Dark King's determination and the vision of a clan born for battle rising to prominence. All right. Laughing, Qin Gang gradually took on the title of Devil Coach. Watching the 7 newly promoted royals leave, Dark King raised his eyes again, glancing at the almost gasified spiritual energy, and stated straightforwardly, "Train hard. Such opportunities are rare. Before long, these spirit veins will be transported to the celestial realm." The celestial realm was another name for the moon. This order was one of many conveyed through the moonlight projection by Wuxia, using the 3rd apostle, sweet Osmanthus. Thanks to Osmanthus, Wuxia could easily communicate with Misty Mountains using the moonlight projection on a full moon. The moon was called the celestial realm because Wuxia intended to transform it into a true celestial paradise. The moon, already rich in spiritual energy, which was further empowered by lunar energy, was truly becoming a paradise. However, it was not enough for Wuxia. At least, this was still insufficient to satisfy Wuxia's ambitions. After all, he intended to covertly transform the moon into a true military fortress. With strong individuals aplenty and natural disasters abound, the moon needed even more significant changes. Through void fissures, spirit veins would be transported to the moon, which Wuxia would bury in the depths of the moon, thereby further making its spiritual energy denser. With denser spiritual energy, the potential for nurturing strong individuals would significantly increase. Compared to Earth, the moon at that time would be truly deserving of the title Celestial Realm. However, this was just the beginning. Wuxia had many more plans. Guiding one strong individual after another to the Celestial Realm, baptizing them with life essence, akin to the legendary pool of immortality in the immortal realm. According to legend, the pool of immortality in the immortal realm could greatly strengthen the body and transform the flesh. Wuxia's life essence could achieve similar effects, maybe even stronger. This was not the end. While being baptized with the life essence, these strong individuals would also be imbued with Wuxia's aura, subconsciously drawing closer to Wuxia. In addition, Wuxia would also use the seal of immortality to deceive them into signing a blood covenant. This covenant, similar to what was made in the altar in Misty Mountains, was not an apostle's covenant, and poses no mental burden on Wuxia. It merely ensured that they promised not to harbor hostility towards Wuxia. This way, in just a few hundred years, Wuxia would have successfully created a celestial realm that would make everyone on earth admire it. Every transcendent would aspire to ascend. Thus, the entire earth would become a cradle for Wuxia to nurture powerful transcendents. Afterward, these powerful transcendents ascending to the celestial realm would, under Wuxia's guidance, conquer the stars. It was a beautiful plan. In a few swift moves, Wuxia had meticulously considered everything. Even if someone exposed the celestial realm as a deception, it would not matter. The fact that the celestial realm was more conducive to cultivation was undeniable. Putting aside the various resources used to create the celestial realm, Wuxia's own body was deeply rooted in it. Wuxia was a true divine being of the world, a Tier 5 transcendent. With Wuxia's efforts alone, the moon was already becoming a sacred paradise. As such, the ascension of strong transcendence was inevitable. Everyone desired to rise further, and this celestial realm would be their inevitable choice. At this moment, on the moon, after Wuxia instructed the top transcendents of Misty Mountains through osmanthus, he began his own arrangements. With ripples spreading through space, Wuxia's spiritual energy surged as a vortex emitting a green glow started to swirl. In just a moment, a river began to flow out from the depths of this vortex. This water came from the lake of vitality in the pocket of vitality, a concentrated essence of Wuxia's life essence. Although it had been significantly diluted, it was still a through and through Tier 5 spirit essence. Now, guided by Wuxia, a green river flowed out of the vortex, before separating into 3 branches, flowing towards 3 pools of different sizes, seemingly built from crystals. The smallest pool was 10 meters in length and width. The largest pool, however, spanned over 1,000 meters, built in consideration of the ginormous sizes of some natural disaster-class creatures. Of course, if their size exceeded 1,000 meters, Wuxia would simply guide them to the pocket of vitality for their baptism. I hope there aren't too many of them that are that big. Feeling helpless, Wuxia could not help but sigh. If too many creatures of several thousand meters in length came, that would really take a huge toll on my resources. However, after taking a look deep inside the pocket of vitality, at the vast lake of vitality that looked no different than ocean, Wuxia decided to take back his words. As matter of fact, it was not that he could not afford it, he just did not want to waste it. If worse came to worst, he decided that he would just dilute the 1,000-meter-long pool of immortality several more times, and only provide a creature, gargantuan in size, deeper baptism only when it managed to perform significant feats. Heaving a long, deep breath, Yuziyu looked at the 3 crystalline pools of different sizes spread out on the ground. In fact, they were ordinary pools built using the earth element, but they had undergone a strengthening by Yuziyu's earth elemental divine ability, crystallization. Strengthening was just an extra perk, the main point was that doing so made them look beautiful. From a distance, they sparkled like diamonds, occasionally glistening with prismatic hues. They resembled diamonds but were tens of times harder. Even natural disaster-class creatures would not be able to shatter them without significant effort. This was also Yuziyu's way of intimidating them. After all, these 3 pools were imbued with Yuziyu's aura, causing them to radiate an oppressive and imposing presence. And if anyone tried to feel it out on a psychic level, their mind and spirit would be horribly shaken. Creatures with weaker wills might even instinctively bow their heads in submission. Moreover, perhaps due to Yuziyu giving birth to the Azure Dragon, his aura now was exceptionally sacrosanct and extraordinary. Powerful transcendents might even feel a sense of closeness upon sensing his aura. Interesting, Yuziyu pursed his lips into a smile, feeling satisfied with his current aura. In addition, it was perfect for captivating others' hearts. For weaker beings, the first impression depended on appearance, but for powerful transcendents, the first impression depended on the aura. For example, golden ants and thorns, with their violent and bloodthirsty auras, would likely cause others to flee at the mere sense of their presence. This was one of the most direct manifestations of aura. Just then, looking at the desolate moon, Yuziyu seemed to think of something and suddenly turned towards Osmanthus. Osmanthus. Yes, master. Osmanthus promptly responded, a hint of excitement in her voice. After all, her main body was currently bathing in life essence, experiencing an extraordinary baptism. Her excitement was understandable. His life essence was greatly beneficial even to a tier 4 transcendent like her. In just half an hour, she found her combat strength rose by 20%. Such significant effects naturally made Osmanthus unable to conceal her joy. Use the moonlight projection to call up Qin Gang in the chimpanzee clan, as well as Bull Demon, Sarcosuchus, Little White and others. Ordering calmly, Yuziyu's eyes sparkled with a bright gleam. As an earth elemental, Qin Gang is vital to every single construction on the moon. And considering that we'll be building cities and palaces, the chimpanzee clan is also indispensable. With them, it won't be long before a grand city rises on the moon. As for Bull Demon, Sarcosuchus, Little White and others, they too have their own jobs. Bull Demon, for instance, would have to adjust the moon's gravity. The gravity here is significantly different from Earth's, and without him adjusting the gravity, the chimpanzee clan will struggle to adapt here. As these thoughts flashed in Yuziyu's mind, his thoughts turned to the humans. Without any technology, even the most magnificent city would be nothing but just a pile of stones. Although the technology of humans can't play a big role in current warfare, it is still of immense value in construction and other areas. With this in mind, Yuziyu continued to give instructions, summon some elites from various fields from Smog Haven, Crescent Moon City, and other human cities, and ask them to come here. Tell them, I'll be personally protecting them and ensuring their safety. Yes, Master, responded Osmanthus as her spiritual energy surged. At this moment, in the northern hemisphere of Earth, it was in the middle of the night, and a bright moon was hanging high in the sky. In just a moment, zoom, with a roar, a beam of moonlight suddenly poured down, shooting towards misty mountains. Before long, on the altar surrounded by powerful mutant beasts like Nine Tails and Bull Demon, a phantom of Osmanthus slowly appeared, accompanied by a cold voice echoing through the sky and earth. Understanding Yuziyu's intentions, Nine Tails, Bull Demon, and other mutant beasts nodded and responded in unison, "We understand, we will obey Master's orders." With that, Misty Mountains began to operate like a well-oiled machine. At the same time, in the deepest part of Misty Mountains, in a forbidden area guarded by two natural disaster-class transcendents, Golden Ant and Sarcosuchus, lay a rift. The rift, over 10 meters wide and 20 to 30 meters tall, opened and closed rhythmically, as if breathing. This rift was the portal to the moon. If one were to look deep into this spatial rift, they would see a vast, chaotic space with a purple root nearly 100 meters in diameter extending through the void space. At a glance, it appeared majestic and mystical. And the purplish shimmer surrounding it only added to its majesty and mystery. It looked like a road to heaven. The road to heavens, the passage connecting Earth and the moon, was a bridge built using UZU's purple roots. Only those who walked on the road to heavens could finally reach the moon. As for individuals attempting it on their own, unfortunately, without at least the power of Tier 4, few could travel through space. For example, Behemoth, although his physical body was strong enough to ignore cosmic storms and various radiations, he could not fly. For aerial mutant beasts, relying solely on their physical bodies, they would find it difficult to survive in the vacuum of space. They could only live for a few days to half a month by relying on spiritual energy. Furthermore, spiritual energy limits were still far higher than physical limits. Currently, the most likely candidate who could fly from Earth to Moon using personal strength was Ninetails, whose spiritual energy was nearly infinite. That too was only possible by reaching a certain speed, and it came with immense risks. Thus, the safest route was the road to heavens built using UZU's purple route, directly leading to the moon, with UZU's spiritual energy constantly providing a safe environment. Then, I will take the spirit veins to the celestial realm. Grinning, the gargantuan Sarcosuchus, who resembled no different than a hill, stated with excitement. Okay. Nodding his understanding, Golden Ant assured, don't worry, with me guarding this spatial rift, no outsider will enter. Great. Sarcosuchus chuckled in response. He had complete trust in Golden Ant's strength. As a matter of fact, while there were many natural disaster-class transcendents in Misty Mountains, only 10 were acknowledged as the strongest. Golden Ant happened to be one of these 10. These top 10 natural disasters were true terrors. For instance, Behemoth was completely invincible in the same tier. Then, there was Red-Beak Platypus, whose explosive power few Tier 4 powerhouses could withstand. Only transcendents like these could firmly stand among the 10 great natural disasters. These top 10 natural disasters did not only refer to the transcendents of Misty Mountains but also include those from other forces. Not long ago, during an attack on the Vatican, the overwhelming power of 6 mutant beasts of natural disaster class from Misty Mountains left a lasting legend. The unstoppable mythical terrestrial king, who walks alone, Behemoth. The Storm King, the evil tiger, that can lay waste to cities as it flies over them, creating storms. The Red-Beak King, the platypus, who makes the earth quakes at every step, and triggers a volcanic eruption at every 7 steps, turning the world into a red purgatory. When these legendary natural disasters descended, even the most famous city of the Vatican, Rome, along with its surrounding cities were reduced to rubble. If not for a clairvoyant in Rome, who managed to see some bits of the future, casualties would have exceeded millions. Still, even with timely notification, tens of thousands of people who failed to evacuate in time were wiped out in the battle of natural disasters. It could even be said that the descent of the great natural disasters not only established Misty Mountains' unparalleled fame but also crushed the resistance of various human forces. Among these 6 natural disasters, 5 were classified among the world's top 10 great disasters, also known as divine wraiths. When they moved, it was akin to the advent of an apocalyptic calamity. Each was terrifying to the extreme. At present, there were very few powerhouses in the world capable of withstanding these natural disasters. Notably, there was a divine bird in the southeastern corner of Asia, resembling a phoenix but jet black in color. She once battled the evil tiger for an entire day and night, shattering the sky, which restored some confidence in various races. At least on the surface, there were still powerhouses capable of contending with the natural disasters of Misty Mountains, which prevented the major forces from falling into a total despair. However, what these forces could not imagine was that this mysterious divine bird, demonic phoenix, was currently a guest of Misty Mountains. Ha ha ha! White Tiger, lying on a tall peak, surrounded by mist and clouds, burst into a hearty laughter, flapping his wings along the laughter, kicking up a storm. You are the first to force me to reveal my innate divine ability, promote evil and condemn good, apart from my brothers and sisters of Misty Mountains, is that so? An ethereal voice, as if not belonging to this world, echoed in the air, as a 3 to 4 meters tall, pitch-black demonic phoenix, sitting far away on another peak, chirped softly. Her eyes happened to be glued on White Tiger, filled with intrigue. She had not expected the Misty Mountains to possess such strength, especially someone with an innate divine ability that could nearly invert black and white, distorting her senses and perception. If it had been anyone else, they might have perished the moment White Tiger unleashed his divine ability. How terrifying! Demonic Phoenix thought to herself while gazing over the entire Misty Mountains. With roars of dragons and tigers erupting from everywhere, and an ethereal and prismatic glow surrounding everything, the entire Misty Mountains seemed like an immortal paradise. The air was filled with nearly gasified spiritual energy, sparkling with a prismatic glow under the sunlight. However, that was still not the crux of the matter. The thing that left her intrigued was that the entire Misty Mountains harbored several auras no weaker than White Tiger's, some even surpassing him. After a moment of silence, Demonic Phoenix realized that the rise of Misty Mountains was unstoppable. She once again was sure of her speculation, that this force would truly be standing at the top of the world, ruling over everything. Just then, seemingly struck with a thought, White Tiger grinned and proposed, I say, little Phoenix, you seem lonely by yourself. Why not come and join us, Misty Mountains? Humph. With a proud snort, Demonic Phoenix turned her head away. How audacious! To think that he would dare to invite me so directly. No wonder this guy has earned the title, Evil Tiger, it seems he truly is odious. Demonic Phoenix's act of turning her head away left White Tiger completely puzzled. This doesn't make any sense. When she arrived, didn't she seem inclined to join Misty Mountains? Why did she refuse when invited directly? Confused, White Tiger turned his head and cast a glance at the meditating bull demon, prompting him to slowly open his eyes. Gazing at Demonic Phoenix with 3 star-like black plumes on her tail far away, a strange glint flashed in Bull Demon's eyes. Standing up slowly, Bull Demon patted White Tiger's head and stated with a smile, I apologize on behalf of my third brother's lack of manners. After apologizing, he cupped his hands and continued, I am the second great beast of Misty Mountains, Bull Demon. I've long heard of your esteemed reputation. This time, I sincerely invite you to join Misty Mountains on behalf of all of us. Believe me, and believe in Misty Mountains, you won't be disappointed. Won't be disappointed, huh? Demonic Phoenix eyes flickered with a bright gleam, revealing a hint of anticipation. Thanks to her ability to foresee and glimpse a part of the future, she naturally knew how terrifying Misty Mountains was now and would become even more terrifying in the future. A force that would encompass the entire world and extend to the far reaches of the universe. And the name and might of the celestial realm would shake the cosmos. However, she dared not speak of these things. It was only during a breakthrough, through the awakening of her bloodline, that she had glimpsed a corner of the future. That immortal paradise, filled with mist-like celestial energy, and an aurora of prismatic glow flowing across the sky. She also saw an entrance within this paradise, with stairs of white jade and columns of coiling dragons. The stairs of white jade was littered with corpses of fallen heroes, in stark contrast to the coiling dragon columns that were reflecting a brilliant array of colors. High in the sky, towering into the clouds, etched were 2 words, Celestial, Realm. Though she did not understand the meaning of these words, demonic Phoenix could feel an indescribable oppression and majesty. Moreover, the most shocking thing was that behind this entrance lay a river of stars. A surge of indescribable shock filled her heart, and demonic Phoenix knew she had glimpsed an incredible secret. Aside from the fact that a colossal force, enough to deter the stars, was slowly rising in secret, there was another terrifying thing she noticed. When she caught a glimpse of this, a feeling of extreme unease rose in her heart afterward. That was the might of heaven, a mysterious and unseen force. The act of looking at the future ultimately went against the way of heavens. Thus, the warning was that if she revealed the secrets of heaven's wrath would descend upon her. This further confirmed that she had indeed glimpsed a significant secret. Although the word celestial realm became her eternal secret, buried in a corner of her heart, all in all, she concluded that the terrifying force she had seen was being nurtured on this planet. Who else but the now dominant Misty Mountains could be nurturing this force? Thus, upon recently encountering White Tiger, she could not resist coming here. She yearned to know more. She wanted to understand what the celestial realm was. She wanted to know who truly upheld this awe-inspiring force that would shake the entire universe in the future. Taking a deep breath and calming her thoughts, demonic Phoenix, turning her beautiful eyes, glanced at Bull Demon and agreed with a nod, "Since you're personally inviting me, I accept." Saying this, she let out a soft chirp, her ethereal and melodious chirp filled with a sense of intimacy. At the same time, Bull Demon and White Tiger saw demonic Phoenix spread her wings and rise into the air. The three plumes behind her leaving a trail of black star-shaped specks every time they swayed, that slowly faded into the distance, leaving chilling yet mesmerizing trails. In that cold and gloomy aura, there was a trace of inexplicable elegance. As the legend said, demonic Phoenix was perhaps the most terrifying taboo bird in this world, powerful, mysterious, elegant and extraordinary. With this, Misty Mountains has gained another formidable warrior. Secretly rejoicing, Bull Demon loudly proclaimed without a change in expression. This time, with demonic Phoenix joining us, it's truly like adding wings to a tiger for Misty Mountains. Let me go report to Master first. Saying this, Bull Demon turned back and glanced at White Tiger, instructing, "Third brother, notify all clans to prepare a welcome for demonic Phoenix." "Yes, second brother." White Tiger happily responded. However, as he left, he cast a fierce glance at demonic Phoenix, as if to ask why she had rejected him earlier. Shortly afterward, on the moon, a voice suddenly rang in Yu's ear, "Master, just now, Bull Demon reported that a divine bird has joined Misty Mountains." Divine bird? Yu was slightly stunned, failing to understand for the moment. Sensing his confusion, Osmanthus added, "According to Bull Demon, it's someone called demonic Phoenix. She resides in the southeastern corner of the continent." Demonic Phoenix? Muttering the name, a glint of interest appeared in Yu's usually calm eyes. Demonic Phoenix, while others might not know, but how could he not? She was one of the few top experts on the continent, also, one of the few that he deemed worthy. However, she was extremely mysterious and knew how to protect herself, making it difficult for Yu to approach her. Yu had not expected her to voluntarily join Misty Mountains. Yu pursed his lips as a hint of amusement appeared on his face. He instructed, "Bring demonic Phoenix to the celestial realm. I'll personally perform a baptism for her, and also test if the pool of immortality is as miraculous as I think." "Yes, Master," Osmanthus responded and promptly used the full moonlight to send down a projection. Half a month later, in the depths of Misty Mountains, a large group had gathered. Looking up, thousands of chimpanzees were lined up in a neat, military-like formation. In front of them were over 30, towering 10 to 20 meters tall, gargantuan chimpanzees, the King Kongs. This was the strongest clan of Misty Mountains. However, more than the strongest clan, what shocked demonic Phoenix the most was the figure standing quietly at the forefront. The figure was clearly humanoid, yet it happened to be covered in jet black fur, and had a tail, jet black as well, extending from his back. The expression on his face was cold and stern. Even from a distance, she could feel an inexplicable aura of terror around her. So this is Dark King mentioned by White Tiger, recalling the strong individuals of Misty Mountains introduced by White Tiger. Demonic Phoenix's eyes narrowed. Though she was powerful and could contend with White Tiger, truthfully, she found Misty Mountains truly terrifying. There were 5 among them that put her on the edge just by their aura alone. Among them, some even made her feel a bit fearful, and Dark King happened to be one of them. He is a true powerhouse, extraordinarily terrifying, murmuring to herself. Demonic Phoenix imprinted this figure deeply in her mind. Void Rift, a thunderous shout shook the entire Misty Mountains. Immediately after, much to the awe of countless mutant beasts, the sky split apart, revealing a fissure resembling a shattered mirror. At the same time, a purple road to heavens, stretching endlessly into the distance, appeared before the eyes of all mutant beasts. What's this? An astonished cry escaped Demoni Phoenix's beak, her eyes flickering with an intrigued look. The path to the celestial realm, also known as the road to heavens. Explaining in a solemn voice, Bull Demon added, just a short while ago, Master has instructed you to also be included in the list of individuals going to the celestial realm. Demonic Phoenix was further stunned by Bull Demon's explanation. Celestial realm, these familiar words had totally taken her by her surprise. However, it was well within her expectations. Misty Mountains has been advancing farther and farther on the path of dominating powers. Now, it has reached a point where people could hardly look up. Just at this moment, a thunderous dragon roar shook the entire Misty Mountains before a mountain-like towering slowly rose in the eyes of countless mutant beasts. Sarcosuchus, an atavistic-type behemoth, with the purest rock dragon bloodline. Furthermore, the form currently visible to everyone's eyes was still not his true form. Although he could not be compared to the progenitor of the rock dragons, who sheltered the entire dragon clan, his true body was still the size of several cities. It was just that he had shrunk himself using his divine ability, enlarging and shrinking at will. Thump, thump, sending fearsome tremors through the ground, Sarcosuchus stepped onto the purple road to heaven. Although it was called the road to heavens, it was actually a segment of UZU's cosmic route. It was just that this segment of the cosmic route was so vast and immense that it seemed like a path leading to the sky. I'm leaving first, bidding his goodbye in a resonant voice, Sarcosuchus, carrying several mid-sized spirit veins, started walking along the road to heavens. Thump, 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 with increasingly intense tremors and shining spirit veins, Sarcosuchus' figure disappeared at the end of the road to heavens in the blink of an eye. And then, a moment later, screech, at the urging of Bull Demon, Demonic Phoenix unfurled her jet-black wings with a sharp yet melodious screech. The moment she unfurled her wings, the mutant beasts of Misty Mountains were completely stunned by the dreamlike glow, resembling fragments of stars, released by her jet-black wings and the beautiful, mesmerizing trail they left behind. Perhaps, this was the first time in their lives they had seen such a beautiful sight. Perhaps it was too shocking. For a moment, this part of Misty Mountains had fallen into complete silence. Amidst this silence, Demonic Phoenix transformed into a streak of starlight, shooting towards the depths of the rift. This was the first time Demonic Phoenix had truly revealed herself before many mutant beasts in Misty Mountains, but she had deeply imprinted her image in the hearts of many mutant beasts, and not because of her strength, but simply because of her elegance and extremely noble posture. Shortly afterward, on the moon, as if sensing something, Yuziu's eyelids slightly twitched. "They're coming," murmuring, Yuziu's spiritual energy surged. Boom, then, a fearsome tremor traveled through the purple root entering the depths of the void space. Immediately after, a faint layer of spiritual energy membrane enveloped the entire purple root. At this moment, if one were to look towards the depths of the void space, they would certainly see a purple root, resembling an underwater tunnel constructed by humans, stretching across. Using spiritual energy as a barrier, Yuziyu had completely blocked off all the storms in the void space. And the reason Yuziyu was going through so much trouble was because apart from some natural disaster class transcendents, there were also some Tier 2 and Tier 3 transcendents ascending to the moon. By no means were they weak, actually most of them were quite stronger in their own tier, yet it was still somewhat difficult for them to rely solely on themselves to block the cosmic storms. As a result, Yuziyu naturally needed to protect them. Bit by bit, time slowly passed by. In the blink of an eye, half a day had already elapsed. I guess they have been delayed by those Tier 2 and Tier 3s. However, just in a moment, Ruhur, a thunderous dragon roar shook the entire moon. Looking up, from within a newly opened rift in space, a creature with fiendish eyes resembling a small mountain, slowly emerged, much to Yuziyu's pleasant surprise. "Greetings, Master," Sarcosuchus greeted in a thunderous voice, bowing his head. "You've worked hard." With a light chuckle, Yuziyu's root swished through space, branching into countless rootlets, resembling giant pythons, and sweeping toward Sarcosuchus' back, where several glittering spirit veins lay. Spirit veins were one of the most important resources. They not only could expand Yuziyu's 9 space pockets, but also enhance the concentration of spiritual energy on the moon. Furthermore, the moon itself was not large. If enough spirit veins were buried deep within the moon, presumably the entire moon, nourished by these spirit veins, would transform into a true immortal paradise within a short time. Of course, the moon itself also had spirit veins. However, perhaps because of the influence of the lunar energy, most of the spirit veins here were of ice attribute, which happened to be quite beneficial to Yuziyu's pocket of ice. Right then, as if sensing something, Yuziyu suddenly narrowed his eyes, looking towards the rift. Immediately, he was mesmerized by the sight of stars falling from the sky, accompanied by countless jet-black feathers. "What is this?" Yuziyu's eyes narrowed slightly in surprise as he saw the black feathers interweaving in the starlight, weaving a cold yet extremely beautiful figure. Despite they were of different species, Yuziyu was still mesmerized by her beauty. This was a kind of beauty that transcended races, just like 9 tails. He had now encountered another one, and she happened to be the second monstrosity of the Asian continent, demonic Phoenix. "Nice to meet you, Phoenix." Expressing his joy, Yuziyu burst into a light laughter, his body trembling slightly. Just as Divine Phoenix was about to respond, she suddenly froze. The moment she exited the rift, her eyes were caught by the divine tree soaring into the sky. A divine tree with a canopy so huge that it blanketed the space above, giving the impression as if it was supporting the entire universe. Its glowing branches, dancing in space, resembled divine chains. Its canopy blanketed heaven, seemingly supporting the entire universe. In addition, 9 huge vortices swirled continuously around its trunk. However, this was not the most shocking thing. The most shocking thing was the green dragon coiling around the trunk, continuously spiraling upward straight to the canopy, where its head emerged. Its eyes were majestic yet indifferent, silently overlooking, like a god, overlooking all living beings. Perhaps this is what divinity feels like. For some reason, these feelings arose in demonic Phoenix's heart. She immediately bowed her head in respect and greeted, demonic Phoenix, pays respects to the divine tree. Demonic Phoenix's voice was clear and melodious like a lark's, yet ethereal, like a dream amidst the stars. Specifically, Yuziyu could not quite explain it in words alone, but there was no denying that just at a glance at demonic Phoenix had left Yuziyu completely satisfied. She is a promising seed, someone worth nurturing. More importantly, the current misty mountains lacked a commander of the skies, and the arrival of demonic Phoenix just so happened to perfectly fill this position. The Queen of Birds, the ruler of the sky, these titles suit her perfectly. With joy in his heart, Yuziyu focused his gaze on demonic Phoenix's status screen. Race, mutant goshawk. Rank, Tier 4 bloodline, Phoenix bloodline, it's the oldest and most mysterious bloodline, making her truly the queen of birds. Innate talent, dark feather. Unlike the feathers of most winged creatures, demonic phoenix's feathers are fine and dense. Each of her feathers seem to possess life, are fluffy, delicate, and translucent, and shimmer like stars. They can differentiate into millions, neutralize all attacks, and even transform into a rain of millions, shredding their target into nothing. Unique abilities: sword of feathers. Opening its wings like a fan, it shoots out feathers that cover the sky, like a storm of feathers. Each feather is sharp as a sword and is capable of tearing through steel and piercing the earth. Advent of darkness. Swaying her 3 plumes, she can cast a field of darkness that devours the spirit of everyone and everything, plunging people into despair until death. Clairvoyant eyes. Her eyes can foresee the future, but they are not the forbidden pupils of divine origins. So regardless of any future she foresees, she can't reveal it or else she will incur the wrath of the heavens. Feather transformation. She can instantly transform into countless feathers, warding off all attacks. She is truly outstanding, extraordinarily outstanding. Keeping everything aside, just her abilities alone are enough to secure a place under my command. How frightening. No wonder she could fight Old Third to a draw. After going through demonic phoenix's status screen, Wuxia praised her in his mind. However, that was not the most frightening aspect about her. What was truly frightening was that demonic phoenix, gifted with such talents, was about to become one of Wuxia's subordinates. And once demonic phoenix underwent the baptism of Wuxia's life essence and received his vigorous cultivation, she would become extremely strong. As for how strong exactly, no one could say for sure, not even Wuxia. However, one thing he was certain about: demonic phoenix was truly worth his anticipation. In terms of talent and potential, she is not inferior to Nine Tails. Marveling in his mind, Wuxia's gaze fell upon the most terrifying ability of demonic phoenix, the clairvoyant eyes. Given her clairvoyant eyes, no wonder demonic phoenix had always been alone. If she failed to control her mouth and leaked out some heavenly secrets, even if she didn't die, she would be severely injured. As these thoughts flashed in his mind, Wuxia directly stated, "In the future, cultivate in the pocket of darkness. It's quiet enough and suitable for you alone. When necessary, you can also lead the avian clans and fight for misty mountains." Yes, divine tree. Demonic phoenix glanced at Wuxia in confusion, yet she responded promptly. Actually, a moment ago, for some reason, she had a feeling as if she had been completely seen through. After a moment, she shook her head, muttering in her mind, "It must be the divine tree. He must have some terrifying means of insight." Thanks to her clairvoyant eyes, she naturally knew many such eerie and terrifying means, just like her clairvoyant eyes, which allowed her to easily see the movements of her enemies 3 seconds ahead in a battle. On ordinary days, if she interacted with heaven and earth, she could even glimpse into the future. However, what she saw in the future was beyond her control. Everything depended on luck. Just like not long ago, she only luckily glimpsed the heavenly secrets during her bloodline metamorphosis, and came to know the existence of the celestial realm. Wuxia nodded his acknowledgement to demonic phoenix, feeling satisfied with her tacit conduct. Despite her aloofness and arrogance, she had maintained an amiable attitude towards him. At least, she had not embarrassed him in front of so many mutant beasts. With this in mind, Wuxia's spiritual energy surged, sending the mist rolling back. Immediately after, a crystalline pool, as if encrusted with diamonds, caught demonic phoenix's eyes. This pool was quite large, stretching for over 100 meters in length and width. The pool was filled with a greenish but crystal-clear liquid. It appeared extremely extraordinary. However, at this moment, demonic phoenix's attention was not on this, instead on a monument, about 30 meters tall, next to the crystalline pool. Etched on this monument were ancient and simple characters. "Pool of immortality." Murmuring to herself, demonic phoenix's spirit suddenly shook violently. An indescribable feeling surged up in her heart. When she turned around, she realized that more than 10 minutes had already passed. Ha! In astonishment, demonic Phoenix furrowed her brows deeply. Until a moment later, as if realizing something, she incredulously looked towards Wuxia not far away. Divine Tree has long since broken through to Tier 5, somewhat unbelieving in her heart, demonic Phoenix was dumbfounded. Just by words alone, it could awe even a natural disaster class transcendent like her. In demonic Phoenix's understanding, only extraordinary beings of Tier 5 with incredible abilities could truly achieve this. SSSSSVH, immediately, rootlets intertwined into a humanoid figure, gesturing demonic Phoenix to remain silent. A fortuitous breakthrough is hardly worth mentioning, Wuxia joked, using mental transmission. However, the implications within his words left demonic Phoenix stunned. Understood, Your Excellency, demonic Phoenix responded, her attitude completely different from before, looking at Wuxia with an indescribable reverence. Indeed, Divine Tree had silently and imperceptibly broken through to Tier 5. Demonic Phoenix, spreading her wings, flew into the pool of immortality at Wuxia's behest, splashing greenish-blue liquid into the air with a loud splash. However, just a moment later, as if encountering something exhilarating, a loud and piercing screech echoed through the moon. At the source, the crystalline pool of immortality surged with waves, the liquid constantly whirling to form a green vortex rushing toward demonic Phoenix. Her black feathers became tinged with a faint greenish halo, and a touch of green silently creeping into the depths of her eyes. At this moment, demonic Phoenix resembled a black hole, absorbing all of Wuxia's life essence. Crack, crack, continuous bone-popping sounds, deafening and thunderous, erupted from her. At this moment, Wuxia's life essence had permeated into demonic Phoenix's body, starting to strengthen even her bones. No, not just her bones, a trace of life essence had permeated even her soul. As a spirit essence of Tier 5, nourishing the soul was quite an ordinary feat after all, having stepped into Tier 5, Wuxia's soul had undergone an extremely profound metamorphosis. As a result, it was not surprising for the spirit essence produced by him to nourish the soul as well. Screech, demonic Phoenix let out an increasingly sharp screech, sending tumultuous sound waves through space. However, at this moment, Wuxia's focus was not on demonic Phoenix, simply because the baptism of the pool of immortality would take at least half a day, sometimes 1 or 2 days. Rather than focusing on demonic Phoenix's state, he found it more important to arrange Qin Gang, Bull Demon, and other mutant beasts. Qin Gang, I want you to build a magnificent palace on this barren land, and also build 8 main cities, a faint voice echoed through the silent moon, startling Qin Gang. However, after a moment, as if realizing something, Qin Gang grinned and responded proactively, yes, master. With that, Qin Gang's body momentarily shook before slowly merging into the earth. At the same time, an intrigued gleam flashed deep in Wuxia's eyes, because at this moment, he felt as if almost half of the moon had come alive. Silent yet thunderous roars erupted around the moon as mountains collapsed and ravines slowly closed. Everything seemed to have become a part of Qin Gang's body, controlled and manipulated at will by Qin Gang. As if sensing Wuxia's astonished gaze, in the distance, a mountain suddenly rose, with 2 words in ginormous characters emerging on the top of the mountain, "Greetings, Master." Seeing this, Wuxia could not help but be a bit amused. However, this also made him realize the terror of elementals, they are indeed the children of the elements. In that case, these 2 elemental fruits of mine should not go to waste. Amidst Wuxia's murmurs, countless branches wove into a slender figure, with 2 fruits appearing in his hands. One shone as brightly as the sun, radiating a pure white halo. The other resembled a black hole, devouring all light. They were the elemental fruits, light and darkness. These were supreme treasures produced by Wuxia while practicing light and dark attribute divine techniques. They could greatly enhance one's innate talent and could even transform one into an elemental. So far, Every single being who has consumed Yu's elemental fruits had become a natural disaster. Qin Gang, the child of earth, Little White, the ice elemental flood dragon, as well as Yu's first apostle, the flame nun, Aisha. The elemental clan was a well-renowned clan even in the previous era. Every single member of this clan grew into a tier 4 transcendent when they became adults. Moreover, their abilities were mysterious and extraordinary. Those with good comprehension could tap deeper into the power of elements, and their combat prowess could rival even some legendary races. This was the power bestowed by the elemental fruits. In addition, maybe because Yu's strength had grown increasingly terrifying, he could even feel a subtle connection with every individual who had consumed the elemental fruits. Through this connection, Yu could easily know their location and even their conditions. More terrifyingly, he could influence them from afar. In other words, Yu seems to have absolute control over these children of the elements. Alternatively, these children of the elements, like apostles, had no possibility of betrayal. Betrayal meant death. No matter where they were, their life and death were in Yu's hands. And things did not end here. Maybe it was an illusion, but Yu felt that as these children of the elements grew stronger, his mastery over the corresponding elements seemingly grew stronger as well. In the past, Yu found it difficult to utilize earth attribute powers and even divine abilities to the degree he could do now. Now, with just a raise of his hand, Yu saw the ground not far away slowly started churning. In a moment, the lunar soil molded into a colossal hand, towering into the sky according to Yu's will. Moreover, this giant hand was more than just large. Upon closer inspection, one could even see palm lines on the palm of this giant hand, just like a real hand. If my speculation is correct, along with the growth of the children of the elements, my understanding of the corresponding elements will also deepen, and there's even a slight hope of reaching the level of principles. In a voice tinged with playfulness, Yu looked at the distant Qin Gang, who had merged into the lunar surface, with a hint of expectation. As expected, if my true form was not of a selfless and dedicated divine tree, how could I possibly condense such against heaven elemental fruits for others for free? After all, the more treasures one possesses, the more everyone coveted them, and the more dangerous it becomes for them. By the looks of it, the so-called elemental fruits are just carriers of my elemental powers. Moreover, any being who consumes the elemental fruits, in a larger sense, serves as vessels to contain my elemental powers. The reason why Yu called them vessels was simply because Yu felt like he was quietly extracting nutrients from these children of the elements. These nutrients were none other than their understanding, cognition, and realization of the elements. Of course, this posed no disadvantages for the children of the elements. To a greater extent, it was mutually beneficial. While Yu granted them power, when they grew stronger, they also reciprocated for Yu. If you don't betray me, I also promise never to treat you as nutrients, let alone devour you. Murmuring in his heart, Yu turned his gaze away. He was not planning on proclaiming this to these children of the elements, rather if he mentioned this to them, it would only cause them to feel uneasy. So, he decided to remain silent. Next, staring blankly at the two elemental fruits in his hand, Yu began to consider their new owners. After all, the greatest value of these elemental fruits lay in finding a suitable owner to help Yu develop his elemental powers. Suitable owners. Yu became lost in thought. As far as he was concerned, finding an owner for the elemental fruits on him was not difficult. However, finding a suitable owner was somewhat challenging. In a rare moment of contemplation, Yu began organizing the information of his subordinates. Although he had many powerful creatures under him, there were very few he remembered. This was inevitable. As someone who had transcended the world's cognizance, whose very hierarchy of life had fundamentally changed, there were beings who were not even qualified to catch his eye. It was not that Yu was intentionally arrogant, his power had transformed his spirit to such an extent that a mere glance from him could obliterate low-level beings due to the inherent pressure. Especially when he was in his complete form as Azure Dragon, even fearsome transcendents of Tier 4 dared not look at him directly. Thus, it was understandable why Wuxia seldom stayed in the depths of Misty Mountains for long. It was not that he did not want to, rather he was just worried that an unintentional release of any kind of pressure might harm his subordinates. Exhaling a long, deep breath, Wuxia, who had quickly sorted out the list of his powerful subordinates, focused his gaze on the ground. Moments later, the lunar soil slowly shifted before two names emerged on the surface. Leng Feng and Dark Tiger. Leng Feng, even as a human, was highly respected by the mutant beasts, simply because he and his little sister excelled at taking care of young beasts. Whenever a young beast was sick or injured, they would seek them out first. More importantly, the younger generation that had recently risen in Misty Mountains, such as Slytherin, Oris, and Lupin, were all close to Leng Feng. It could be said that Leng Feng was indispensable to Misty Mountains. Besides, he possessed a dark elemental innate talent, which allowed him to control shadows and fight in the night. Among humans, he was undoubtedly considered a genius. Leng Feng is well suited for the dark elemental fruit. Besides, he has contributed so much to Misty Mountains, he deserves a reward, thinking to himself. Wuxia then looked at the other one, Dark Tiger. Dark Tiger was the next strongest member of the Tiger clan after White Tiger, also known as the Shadow Tiger, and a well-known genius among the mutant beasts with astonishing combat talent. Although he was still at the peak of Tier 3, when he brought out his abilities to their best, he could contend with over 10 opponents of the same tier. It could be said that if Shadow Tiger consumed the dark elemental fruit, Misty Mountains would gain another formidable force. Both of them are qualified to consume the dark elemental fruit. Caught in a dilemma, a wry smile appeared on Wuxia's lips. Whether it was sentimental and logical, he was finding it difficult to decide. More importantly, a supreme treasure like the dark elemental fruit was akin to a quota to the natural disaster class. Giving it to one would inevitably cause some resentment in the other. That was not something a qualified king should do. Let them decide for themselves. Wuxia chuckled in his mind, ultimately deciding not to dwell on this. Next, he turned his gaze to the light elemental fruit. The light elemental fruit was arguably the most terrifying fruit. Not only did it possess astonishing destructive power, but it also offered speed comparable to light. Moreover, that was not even the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was that the light elemental fruit also granted healing capabilities. In other words, this light elemental fruit was equivalent to an all-purpose fruit. And as one developed it further, its horrors would continue to reveal themselves. Grinning, a hint of anticipation flashed on Wuxia's face. He was curious to see who would obtain this light elemental fruit. After all, a terrifying elemental fruit like this would grant a formidable strength to anyone. Let's see, how should I use this fruit to spice things up a little? After pondering on this, Wuxia turned and instructed Osmanthus, Tell Nine Tails to organize an audition for the young talents of Misty Mountains in 3 months. Anyone below Tier 4 can participate, and the first prize is a light elemental fruit, while the second prize is a personal blessing from me. Pausing briefly, Wuxia added with a playful smile, remember to describe the light elemental fruit's terrifying power clearly, and try to attract as many geniuses as possible. Also, I too will be descending to witness the prodigies of Misty Mountains. Wuxia's instructions had rendered Osmanthus momentarily stunned. However, once realization dawned upon her, she gulped nervously and confirmed, Master, are you sure? Of course. Giving his confirmation, a broad smile appeared on Wuxia's face as he added, I want to organize a huge event, and this is just the trial run. If all goes well, we can expand it to other continents, and in the future, use this method to select talents. Yes, Master. Osmanthus responded, suppressing her inner shock. She could not help but admit that her master's grand plan had truly amazed her. Not to mention anything else, just the first prize alone was incredibly generous, an elemental fruit, a supreme treasure of incredible rarity. Besides, it was not just any elemental fruit, but a light elemental fruit. It was practically a ticket to the natural disaster class. More importantly, things did not end here. Once one became a light elemental, even the poorest luck and talent, they would possess strength enough to reach the peak of natural disaster class. With the right opportunities, they might even reach higher tiers. This kind of elemental fruit was enough to tempt not just those below tier 4, but even someone like her, a tier 4 transcendent. Who? Osmanthus barely suppressed her excitement. She very well knew that a true storm was about to sweep through the entire Misty Mountains, not just Misty Mountains, it might even draw entities from other continents. By then, the number of powerful beings joining Misty Mountains could increase exponentially, and this was likely her master's true aim. After all, the temptation to become a natural disaster was not something most could resist. With this thought, Osmanthus, ignoring whether it was night or daytime, circulated her spiritual energy, surging with a shockwave, as a pillar of moonlight shot towards the beautiful blue planet amidst the setting sun. Have you heard? In 3 months, Misty Mountains will host the first martial arts tournament. Martial arts tournament? What's that? It's a competition for those below tier 4, with no regard for life or death, just to see who's the best. It's said that in the later stages of the tournament, even the fearsome tier 4 transcendents will be fighting. In a remote corner deep of Misty Mountains, countless mutant rats chattered incessantly. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly interrupted them. You guys are really geniuses, you've all actually missed the real highlight, the first prize, the elemental fruit. Hearing this voice, all the mutant rats promptly looked towards the source, a golden rat covered in lightning-like markings, with occasional arcs of electricity flashing across his body. Greetings, Rat King. Greetings, Rat King. One after another, the mutant rats greeted respectfully, their eyes filled with excitement. The Rat King was the ruler of the mutant rats. Currently, the mutant rat clan had a total of 5 rat kings, and Lightning Rat was one of them. Although he had joined later, his strength and terror had already conquered the hearts of all the rats. As if thinking of something, a small rat timidly asked, Rat King, what's an elemental fruit? Elemental fruit. Lightning Rat looked at these small rats with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. He had forgotten that these little guys were too weak to know about the elemental fruit or understand what a precious treasure it was. With a light laugh, Lightning Rat casually explained, with a hint of envy on his face, an elemental fruit is a supreme treasure nurtured by divine tree. It can transform its consumer into an elemental, even allowing them to break through bottlenecks and reach tier 4. At this point, Lightning Rat added, and the first prize this time is a light elemental fruit. Even among elemental fruits, it's one of the top fruits, capable of turning someone into an embodiment of light. As he spoke, Lightning Rat suddenly raised an eyebrow, seemingly noticing something. Looking up, he saw the small rat's eyes turning bloodshot, their breathing becoming heavier. Seeing the desire on the little rats' faces, Lightning Rat burst into laughter and stated, if you want to go, then go. But let me be clear, I won't be giving up on that elemental fruit either. At the drop of this sentence, a golden bolt of lightning cracked through the sky, crackling straight into the distance. At the same time, in the Tiger Clan, Ruer, a terrifying tiger roar suddenly reverberated throughout the entire Tiger Clan. Looking up, a massive white tiger with draconic wings could be seen hovering in the sky, kicking a fearsome storm every time he flapped his wings. Greetings, Chief. Greetings, Chief. Amidst the unified calls, countless mutant tigers emerged from various corners of the forest. Listen up, little ones. Misty Mountains will soon host a martial arts tournament, open to those below tier 4. The top 100 will receive incredible rewards. I'm not asking you guys much. I just want at least 20 of our tiger clan in the top 100. Got it? In an excited voice, White Tiger grinned, before shouting arrogantly, "You need to show the might and spirit of our tiger clan. We may lose, but we must not lose our momentum. This is our chance to make a name for the tiger clan in Misty Mountains." Stunned, most of the tigers didn't react immediately. However, at that moment, thud, a thunderous tremor shook the ground. Looking towards the source, a massive shadow emerged from the impenetrable darkness. Below Tier 4, Muttering as if in confusion, Shadow Tiger, second only to White Tiger in the Tiger clan, had silently arrived. Seeing the sudden appearance of Shadow Tiger, White Tiger became even more excited. Boom, with a flap of his draconic wings, kicking another fearsome storm, he promptly swooped down to front of Shadow Tiger, exclaiming, "Brother, you came at the right time. The first prize for this martial arts tournament is a light elemental fruit. Do you know what that means?" At this, White Tiger wiped the drool dripping down the corner of his mouth and continued, "We must keep this fruit within the clan, no matter what. I've already thought it through. Over the next few days, I'll use my spiritual energy to help you condition your body, and you can take all my excess life essence." Stunned, Shadow Tiger gave White Tiger a dubious look, seemingly surprised. He smirked and sneered, "Do you doubt my strength?" "Believe, of course I believe you. Your strength is unquestionable. Even when I was in a Tier 3 Transcendent, I couldn't necessarily surpass you." White Tiger paused, then added with some helplessness, "But this time, it's really serious. Elder sister, second brother, fourth brother, fifth brother, and even ninth brother, they're all going all out. It's because Master is going to watch, so they're all playing for real. Do you remember that white fox in Elder Sister Fox clan that ate the heaven and earth treasure, the creation spirit grass? Elder sister is planning to send that fox out." Hearing this, Shadow Tiger's corners of eyes couldn't help but twitch hard. "Are you kidding me? That white fox too?" It was a well-known fact that White Fox of the Greenhill Fox clan had consumed a heaven and earth treasure, the lucky spirit grass, making it incredibly formidable. After all, the lucky spirit grass was comparable to the five-color spirit flower, fleeting moment flower, capable of nurturing a complete and terrifying divine ability in refining one's bones and marrow. Rumor had it that White Fox could have already broken through to Tier 4, but she had been suppressing her tier for certain reasons. And now? Just as Shadow Tiger was reeling from helplessness, White Tiger continued, "And ninth brother, that beast, after hearing that the first prize is a light elemental fruit, ran straight to China to find a genius descendant from the Panda clan. He even claimed he would craft a custom battle armor and divine weapon for him. Of course, that's not all. You know Oris, right? That Golden Monkeys Jr. who's already at the peak of Tier 3. I heard that the Golden Monkey is willing to sacrifice some of his quintessence to unlock his true bloodline." As White Tiger continued to speak, he could not help but ground his teeth. His elder sister, ninth brother, and the others were really going all out. This was no longer just a simple competition between transcendents below Tier 4, it had turned into a silent power struggle among the core forces of Misty Mountains. All for the chance to shine in front of Divine Tree and gain some glory. However, White Tiger then awkwardly realized that compared to elder sister and ninth brother, he had nothing to offer Shadow Tiger. Damn it! I've already lost half the battle before it even started. With a frustrated complaint, White Tiger's confidence had already crumbled significantly. At the same time, on a land of ice shrouded by heavy dark clouds, crackle, crackle, amidst endless, a massive polar bear, standing atop a peak, roared towards the sky. Boom, with a deafening roar, a lightning bolt as thick as a barrel descended from the sky, striking the right arm of Polar Bear. At that moment, as if gripping the lightning, the gargantuan bear threw it towards a nearby mountain peak. Boom, With a deafening explosion, the 100-meter-high peak was obliterated in an instant by the blue lightning, filling the sky with dust and rubble. A martial arts tournament, huh? With a chuckle, Giant Lightning Bear, the king of Misty Mountain's third strongest clan, the Ice Bear clan, smirked. Though he had not broken through to Tier 4 in the pocket of lightning, he had already taken half a step towards it. In other words, he already had half a step into the Tier 4. In short, he was still eligible to participate in this martial arts tournament. Though competing with juniors might seem undignified, considering the first prize was a light elemental fruit, dignity could go to hell. An elemental fruit was equivalent to a ticket to the natural disaster class, and a light elemental fruit was equivalent to the highest combat power under Misty Mountain's divine tree. Such a treasure, whether he consumed it himself or chose an outstanding junior from the clan, would be an excellent choice. As a matter of fact, the clans were the foundation of Misty Mountains, and the strength determined the status and resource allocation within Misty Mountains. As the clan ranked third in Misty Mountains, they had long been uneasy without a natural disaster to hold their ground. Now, this elemental fruit was an opportunity. However, as if remembering something, Giant Lightning Bear glanced toward a corner of Misty Mountains, the forbidden zone of Misty Mountains, the Abyssal Prison. Within the Abyssal Prison resided an old friend he knew well. "Thorns, I will not lose to you." With a wary voice, Giant Lightning Bear squinted slightly in the direction of the Abyssal Prison. Thorns, the sixth great beast of Misty Mountains, a demi-human, and a true bloody succubus. Following Wuxia, she drank the blood of all kinds of races and absorbed countless blood-spirit grasses. Her power had long been unfathomable. If she also participated in the martial arts tournament, she would raise the bar to be sky-high. At the very least, Giant Lightning Bear had no absolute confidence in subduing her. After all, every great beast was extraordinarily powerful. Even without reaching the natural disaster class, they were far beyond what ordinary Tier 3 transcendents could compare to. At the same time, in the Abyssal Prison of Misty Mountains. "Master, Master," amidst frantic cries, a hideous creature, a human-faced spider, scrambled deeper into the cave, its 8 legs flailing wildly. Within a few breaths, it arrived at a sea of blood. However, before it could do anything, roar, a shrill and deafening roar, seemingly draconic yet not, echoed through the cave as a splash of crimson filled the human-faced spider's vision. Instantly, the human-faced spider's body convulsed as countless cracks filled its body, with blood oozing out from within, creating a net of blood. Terrifyingly, these blood emerging from the cracks seemed alive, writhing and transforming into tiny blood-red snakes that slithered all over the spider's body. Master, the human-faced spider's shrill scream turned more desperate. "Didn't I say not to disturb me?" A seductive voice, as melodious as chimes of silver bells, echoed in the air, making the human-faced spider's face turn even paler. Without hesitating or delaying a single moment, the human-faced spider quickly blurted out its news. "Just now, Lord Ninetails sent word that in 3 months, Misty Mountains will hold its first martial arts tournament. A martial arts tournament, where anyone below Tier 4 can participate. And the first prize is a light elemental fruit." Thorns remained completely indifferent. For someone like her, who was already half a step into Tier 4, breaking through was merely a matter of time. Moreover, she had her own path and did not need the elemental fruit. So boring, heaving a cold and grim sigh, Thorn's figure slowly merged back into the depths of the blood pool. But just then, as if recalling something, the human-faced spider suddenly shouted, "Right, Master, it seems the divine tree will come to watch too." As soon as these words fell, boom, half of the abyssal prison trembled. In the human-faced spider's terrified gaze, the blood-like liquid in the pool began to coalesce into a huge, icy face. Why didn't you say so earlier?" A cold snort echoed in the cave, and suddenly, the human-faced spider shuddered. Because at this moment, the blood around it started to flow back, surging into its body. "Thank you, master, thank you," the human-faced spider thanked repeatedly, feeling both relieved and fortunate. All because, in the moment the blood left its body and returned, its blood had been refined, making its spiritual energy pure. As expected, although Master is capricious, mentioning the divine tree always improves her mood. The sudden announcement of the martial arts tournament had stirred the entire Misty Mountains like a storm. At this time, if one looked at the fog-shrouded Misty Mountains, they would notice terrifying auras shooting towards the sky from time to time. Those were once slumbering entities, and highly reclusive powerhouses. In the past, Misty Mountains were a secluded corner, but after setting sights on the continent, the territory of Misty Mountains expanded several times, even encompassing several forbidden zones. Within such vast lands, there were countless mutant beasts. However, these mutant beasts, though part of Misty Mountains, mostly just lived within its borders. The core of Misty Mountains had long been impenetrable, with elemental generals at the top, 9 great beasts below, guardians on the left, apostles on the right, and clans with incredible cohesion. Such an ironclad circle was not something ordinary mutant beasts could easily infiltrate. But now, these mutant beasts seemed to have a chance. Should they make a name for themselves in this martial arts tournament, they might earn the divine tree's favor, achieving a meteoric rise. Harboring such hopes, numerous self-confident mutant beasts began converging from all directions. In the past, Misty Mountains were a secluded corner, but after setting sights on the continent, the territory of Misty Mountains expanded several times, even encompassing several forbidden zones. Within such vast lands, there were countless mutant beasts. However, these mutant beasts, though part of Misty Mountains, mostly just lived within its borders. The core of Misty Mountains had long been impenetrable, with elemental generals at the top, 9 great beasts below, guardians on the left, apostles on the right, and clans with incredible cohesion. Such an ironclad circle was not something ordinary mutant beasts could easily infiltrate. But now, these mutant beasts seemed to have a chance. Should they make a name for themselves in this martial arts tournament, they might earn the divine tree's favor, achieving a meteoric rise. Harboring such hopes, numerous self-confident mutant beasts began converging from all directions. At this time, in the heart of China, a dozen anxious faces stared at the figure seated on the main seat, speaking in an anxious manner, "This is bad. Recently, many renowned prodigies are heading to Misty Mountains. Damn it. Misty Mountains' move to entice talents with such a treasure is really ruthless. To think that they would use a supreme treasure to lure so many human prodigies into joining Misty Mountains." Hearing everyone's point, the middle-aged man sitting on the main seat remained completely calm, and the corner of his lips rose into a sneer. So what if they go? Do they really think they can compete with the monsters of Misty Mountains? Feeling helpless, the middle-aged man could not help but admit that Misty Mountains had become a true behemoth. Not to mention others, just the Tier 3 transcendents of Misty Mountains alone were beyond what human prodigies could challenge. While others may not have an idea, how could he not? In the battle between those of the same tier, humans typically did not fare well against mutant beasts. The mutant beasts of Misty Mountains were elites among the mutant beasts, with some capable of fighting against opponents of higher tiers. In other words, rather than participating in the martial arts tournament, the human prodigies were just going there to be humiliated. However, the middle-aged man would not stop this from happening. After all, without his tacit approval, how could the appearance and effects of the elemental fruit, such a precious treasure, spread so widely among humans? "You can be the celestial god, and I'll be the earthly emperor." With a hint of bitterness in his voice, the middle-aged man shook his head almost imperceptibly. Long ago, he had begun purging some of the extremist factions that were hostile to Misty Mountains. He had even offered up the heads of a few individuals. This was his decision. After all, Misty Mountains had become too powerful. For my own sake and for China's, it was best to avoid direct conflict. Thankfully, while the tree monster is terrifying, he's not entirely unreasonable. Regularly providing resources could help avoid the outbreak of war. Moreover, according to the tree monster, this world shouldn't be torn by internal strife. And he is right, civilizations are rising in every corner of the universe, quietly and unnoticed. Rather than wasting strength on internal conflicts, it would be better to unite and plunder other civilizations. Next year, 3rd of March, an expedition to conquer the otherworldly civilization. Muttering to himself, the middle-aged man lightly tapped the armrest with his fingers and slowly closed his eyes. If you can muster an army to conquer the otherworldly civilizations, the spoils will be divided 80/20. Misty Mountains will take 80%, and your federation will get 20%. Of course, this isn't about greed, but about the enormous burden of establishing a pathway across the stars. You, with your inherited memories, should understand this best. Recalling that secret meeting they had, the middle-aged man felt helpless. Rather than assembling an army to conquer the otherworldly civilizations, it was more like gathering a suitable cannon fodder force. Still, he could not refuse this deal. Not only was Tree Monster eager for the otherworldly resources, but even he was tempted. Though China would only be receiving 20% of the resources, it's still a substantial amount. After all, as the Tree Monster said, establishing a star-crossing pathway is an enormous burden. Still, there's no denying it has a voracious appetite. Never mind. They are strong, we are weak. Getting even a share is good enough. Master, up to now, about 2,000 Tier 3 Transcendents have applied to participate in the martial arts tournament. Apart from the members of Misty Mountains, there are several hundred external Tier 3 contestants. And not only that, many humans who are hostile to mutant beasts have also come to register. Currently, Elder Sister Ninetails has arranged for them to stay at the Immortal Pavilion. With one report after another, Osmanthus briefly described the participation situation to Uzu. 2000, Uzu muttered to himself, secretly astonished. This was just the number of those who dared to sign up. So, the number of Tier 3 Transcendents who did not register was probably even higher. In other words, unknowingly, Misty Mountains had grown to a level that Uzu could hardly imagine. But then, considering the current state of Misty Mountains, it made sense. Nowadays, the territory of Misty Mountains alone was no less than that of the continents before the era of transcendence. As the world kept growing, not only were the continents expanding, but the resources within them were also continuously increasing. With the current strength of Misty Mountains, nurturing thousands of Tier 3s was not a very surprising number. Moreover, many of these Tier 3s were likely residing in various corners of Misty Mountains. The ones truly belonging to the core circle of Misty Mountains were probably few. The 9 great beasts, the left and right guardians, the apostles, the sentinels, the elemental generals, and the 3 war generals. Plus, the various major clans. All in all, the powerful Tier 3 Transcendents possessed by these forces would amount to only a few hundred. As a matter of fact, the mutant beasts in the core circle of Misty Mountains, whether in physical strength or actual combat power, far surpassed other transcendents of the same tier. And today, Uzu could take this opportunity to truly get to know them and see how many of the top 100 belong to the core circle of Misty Mountains. As for the humans. At the thought of humans, Uzu could not help but curl his lips in anticipation. Bringing humiliation upon themselves, that's what this is. An amused smile flashed on Uzu's lips, he was not too concerned. If they could reach Tier 5, where their souls would undergo a qualitative transformation, it would be a different story, the gap between humans and mutant beasts would significantly narrow down. But for Tier 4 and below, the strong and robust physique and bizarre innate talents of the mutant beasts are an immense crushing force. Humans who have reached Tier 3 might be considered elites, but which mutant beasts in the core circle of Misty Mountains isn't an elite among elites? Even the descendants of legendary races like the Dragon Clan and the Flood Dragon Clan are numerous. How could they be any weaker than the humans? I am quite looking forward to seeing any human who can catch my eye, murmuring to himself. The corners of Yu's mouth rose. If a human could achieve a remarkable ranking amidst such formidable enemies, then that human would indeed be worth his attention. Time flew by like a fleeting horse, and in the blink of an eye, another month passed. Rohur, 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 asterisk screech, 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 fearsome roars and howls through the sky. Each of these terrifying cries sounded ancient, yet the fact that they originated from close by terrified not just the humans, but even some mutant beasts could not help but have their pupils shrink in fear. This was the current state of Misty Mountains, a world of powerful beings. Countless Tier 3 transcendents participating in the martial arts tournament have poured in one after another, making the inner atmosphere of Misty Mountains even more terrifying. Every now and then, one would hear some extremely frightening roars reverberating through the mountains and forests. At this moment, thump, thump, sudden tremors echoed through the ground. Looking towards the source of the sound, a group of dozens of humans saw a black bear. This bear was robust, with a bulging shoulder and back, towering at the height of a dozen-story building. Its extended claws were 3 to 4 meters long, each one resembling the dragon lances held by human knights, making it daunting to behold. Its thick yet soft fur draped over it like a coat. A dreadclaw bear, evolved continuously from the Alaskan brown bear, is one of the most terrifying Tier 3 transcendent. Its brute strength and sharp claws are so formidable that if we're not careful, we might not even have time to react before being instantly killed. I can't believe such a monster would come to compete. Gasping in shock, a human well-versed in mutant beasts exclaimed in astonishment. However, in the next moment, as if realizing something, his expression changed dramatically. Wait! Crying in surprise, this human stared fixedly at the figure standing calmly on the shoulder of the massive brown bear. There was a golden mark on its forehead, resembling an eye, though it was closed. The entire figure looked extremely mysterious and extraordinary. The Three Eyes Clan. The Three Eyes Clan was one of the most renowned clans since the advent of the era of transcendence. They had a third eye on their foreheads. They looked extremely bizarre and mystical. Like the legendary three-eyed war god, they possessed combat power unmatched by ordinary beings. Now, seeing this fearsome dreadclaw bear reduced to a mount for this three-eyed figure, one could imagine the power of this three-eyed clan member. Damn it, even such monsters are coming to compete? Asterisk humph. Asterisk with a cold snort, a young man in the crowd sneered. This also indirectly proves how precious the light elemental fruit is, attracting even such powerful, reclusive clans. As he spoke, the young man paused, looking in a certain direction with some hesitation. However, compared to these guys, what I worry more about are the famous Tier 3s of Misty Mountains. As soon as he finished speaking, crackle, a bolt of lightning shook the sky, and thick dark clouds visibly rolled in, blanketing the sky. Meanwhile on the ground, a layer of ice started blanketing everything. Looking closely, at the horizon where ice and lightning and ice intertwined with each other, a giant polar bear, walking upright and wrapped in lightning, could be seen approaching slowly. Thud, with each step, the ground trembled. Even numerous mutant beasts could not help but stagger. Although he was only a Tier 3, his terrifying aura made it believable even if someone claimed he was a Tier 4. When snowflakes mixed with lightning descend, there's only one possibility: he's about to strike again. So, this is the king of the polar bear, the clan ranked third in Misty Mountains, the giant lightning bear. One of the 5 acknowledged kings of this martial arts tournament, and a truly undefeated legend. Rumor has it that this monster once battled the panda king of our country for 3 days without losing. And his clan, the Polar Bear Clan, has repeatedly fought neck and neck against our country's guardian Panda Clan, without falling behind. With a gasp, the human well-versed in mutant beasts spoke in a trembling voice. According to rumors, the polar bear clan was initially fostered by the the divine tree to combat the clan guarding our country, the panda clan. But that's not what's truly terrifying. What's truly frightening is that such a powerful clan only ranks third in Misty Mountains. Hearing this, everyone's expression turned grim. Looking up, they could see thousands of polar bears following the giant lightning bear, forming a white wave surging slowly forward. The overwhelming aura, seemingly almost connected, covered the entire world, putting a tremendous pressure on everyone. Roar! A unified roar thundered through the sky, silencing the entire world. Even the Three Eyes clan member standing calmly on the shoulder of the giant mutant brown bear, towering 20 stories high, looked stiff. It was terrifying, absolutely so. Though this giant lightning bear was only a Tier 3 transcendent, his true combat power was far beyond what others could imagine. Even the Three-Eyed clan member could tell that giant lightning bear was deliberately suppressing his aura. This is the true Misty Mountains. With a deep sigh, this Three Eyes clan member's eyes were filled with an unusual light. Compared to him, a human team suddenly voiced their concern. A clan this powerful is only ranked third. What kind of monsters are the second and even the top clans? As for the second-ranked clan, recalling some secret information he had learned by chance, the human continued, the second-ranked clan is the Tiger clan, ruled by one of the top 10 natural disasters, the Storm natural disaster, Evil Tiger. This clan once besieged China's famous city, White Emperor City. They wiped out all the powerful transcendents, leaving nothing but fear and brutality far beyond imagination. At this point, the human paused, before continuing in a hesitant manner, as for the top clan. I'm not very sure about that. The top clan is recognized as the strongest combat clan in Misty Mountains and is also considered the most terrifying. Suddenly, a voice came from the horizon. Looking towards the source of the voice, the humans saw an extraordinary seductive figure, dressed in blood-red dress, slowly approaching. Although she was far away, she was by them almost in an instant. Every time she took a step, blood-red lotus flowers bloomed beneath her feet. However, this was not the main point. The main point was that the girl appeared so alluringly seductive that the eyes of every human present were glued on her. As if noticing this gaze, the enchanting girl smiled and continued, "You're in luck, you'll get to meet the true face of the top clan. And I've to say, you humans are in for a big surprise." With an increasingly playful laugh, the blood-red seductive figure slowly disappeared. Only when she was completely gone did the humans snap back to reality. Who was that? Amidst a cry of astonishment, the humans discovered that the well-informed young man was pale for some reason, with cold sweat starting to bead on his forehead. That was the Gorfine succubus, also known as Queen Thorns, the sixth great beast of Misty Mountains, the most mysterious and bloody existence. She had just walked right past us, swallowing hard. The most knowledgeable human wished he could immediately run away. What kind of monsters are these? They had only heard of such things before, but now, seeing it for themselves, they realized that each of these beings was more terrifying than the last. Just the aura alone made their limbs cold. What a joke! Can the difference between Tier 3 transcendents really be this vast? Before anyone could think more, a thunderous roar erupted. Boom! With a deafening clap, the distant horizon was suddenly divided into two colors. One side was a world dyed blood red, with a crimson flood dragon soaring into the sky. The other side was filled with thunder and lightning, where intertwining silver flashes formed rows of Dragaean-like heads. These sightings were caused by the auras of the peak Tier 3 transcendents, the Emperor of the world. No, it even surpasses this realm, already reaching the terrifying level of a half-step into Tier 4. The collision of such momentum had become a tangible force, stirring up a hurricane far stronger than a Category 10 hurricane, sweeping away all obstacles in its path and dousing the heads of many strong individuals with cold water. This momentum, this power, can a Tier 3 really possess such strength? A roar from an unknown source echoed, causing many strong warriors who considered themselves formidable to feel disheartened. But before they could truly digest it, boom, 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 this little showcase of power seemed to have triggered a chain reaction, as numerous auras, no less imposing than theirs, broke out one after another in the inner region of Misty Mountains. The terrifying momentum felt almost tangible. Upon closer inspection, in the northeastern sky, a phantom of a white fox slowly emerged, with a pair of eyes, pure and holy, glimmered with a bright starry glow. Just a mere glance at it captivated everyone's soul. On another side, Ruhur, a thunderous tiger roar suddenly shook the world. Immediately after, an endless night covered the entire world, with a pair of cold beastly eyes slowly emerging from the darkness. Just when the strong warriors thought this might be the end. Me too, with a thunderous roar, a figure rose from the ground in the distance. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into a towering giant with bulging muscles that looked no different than small hills, bright and shiny eyes, and a beast-skin tier around his waist. The Titan clan was a renowned clan, whose members possessed a physique far beyond common understanding. Previously, the giant python with Titan bloodline was such; today, this human with the Titan bloodline was no different. He was one of the Titan clan members who had been pursuing the legendary giant python with Titan bloodline ever since its fleeting appearance. Though his bloodline was not pure, and he had not reached Tier 4, he had nonetheless reached the pinnacle of Tier 3. This time, he had secretly arrived upon learning that natural disaster class Tier 4 giant python was hiding within Misty Mountains. As for the elemental fruit, he was not interested. After all, the Titan bloodline was already the most precious treasure. With a hearty laugh, the Titan, towering 300 to 400 meters high, like a skyscraper, causing many mutant beasts to twitch their eyes, clasped his hands and loudly declared, "This junior of the Titan clan, Oblos, pays respects to the divine tree, and also to the ancestors of the Titan clan." The Titan clan, a faint voice echoed in the depths of the void space. In a world unseen by countless strong experts, Wuxia, who had already returned to Earth, had deeply rooted his true form. Countless roots, like flood dragons, continuously extended into the void, filling the emptiness like a spider's web. Every moment, and every second, Wuxia was drawing energy from the void space through his cosmic roots. Visibly, the space pockets bearing the name Void that Wuxia controlled grew at a terrifying speed. At the same time, at the deepest part of this pocket of void, a purple vortex continuously spun. It seemed to be nurturing, yet also waiting. Wuxia's grand divine ability, the 9 realms of heaven, each space pocket had its own unique mystery. The pocket of fire possessed the heat and explosive nature of fire. When necessary, the flames originating from it could engulf continents. The realm of ice possessed the coldness and eerie nature of ice. If the entrance to it was opened, it could freeze an entire ocean into a continent of ice. Each space pocket, as they grew, also accumulated a terrifying power. And now, the space pocket named Void was no different. At this moment, murmuring, Wuxia's gaze seemed to cross the barriers of space, falling onto that distant towering giant. A young Titan, marveling, realization dawned upon Wuxia. This young Titan must have seen Wuxia's soaring purple python and mistaken it for a powerful Titan. However, it was also reasonable. Not to mention that the soaring purple python was an extension of Wuxia's cosmic roots. Judging by its appearance and strength, it indeed bore no difference from the Titan clan. It could extend infinitely, so long as there was a constant influx of spiritual energy. Adding more to the dread, it exuded a desolate and ancient aura, seeming to originate from the distant past. No wonder this guy mistook the soaring purple python for a Titan. Wuxia broke into a light laugh, clearly not bothered by this. Rather, he found it somewhat amusing. After all, the fact that the soaring purple python was indistinguishable from a real Titan was enough to prove his innate talent. Absolute evolution was indeed extremely terrifying. This young Titian's innate talent seems quite impressive, though his bloodline is somewhat impure. After a few glances at this towering titan, a hint of admiration flashed in Yu's eyes. Since this young titan had innate talent that caught Yu's eyes, one could easily imagine what that means. Smiling in his heart, Yu's spiritual energy began to surge. Hisses, an extremely long and continuous hiss suddenly filled the sky before space above misty mountains shattered like a mirror. Then, much to the astonishment of countless people, a streak of purple flashed by, dotted with glimmers, resembling stars. Upon closer inspection, these glimmers resembled dragon scales. They appeared hard and had a certain unspoken majesty. Hisses, another increasingly high-pitched hiss reverberated through the sky, so loud that it seemed to tear at people's eardrums. Everyone felt even their souls tremble. Meanwhile, the crack in space grew even more terrifying. In just a moment, the sky within 1,000 meters had completely shattered. Yet, despite such a wide crack, only a continuous and endless purple body was visible through the crack. Out of everyone's notice, a gargantuan creature that could not be described with words alone had been wandering in the backside of the world. Can a creature like this really exist in this world? Everyone stared blankly at the shattered sky, horrified and speechless at the sight of purple scales within the crack. The purple figure was huge, immensely and unimaginably huge. Even the mutant brown bear that was 20 stories tall seemed like an ant in its presence. And now, such a gigantic creature seemed to have torn through the world barrier. Crack, crack, the crack in space kept widening. It seemed as if the world could not bear its presence. However, in the next moment, hisses, followed by a hiss, an ancient voice echoed throughout misty mountains, "Our descendant, yes, I am one who has recently awakened my Titan bloodline. Though my bloodline is impure, I hope the Elder will forgive me." An inexplicable excitement filled Oblo's voice, his face even reddening. He was so excited that even his blood seemed to be boiling. Just as I expected. Feeling that familiar yet ancient aura, looking at the purple body that seemed to wrap around the world, Oblos felt as if a giant stone had lifted off his heart. He was relieved and excited that the Titan clan finally had a natural disaster class powerhouse, because the Titan clan was not like other races. The full name of the Titan clan was the Divine Titan clan. Actually, each Titan, after having managed to grow to the natural disaster class, had a certain chance of awakening divinity. Divinity, as implied, was a very terrifying power. It could be said that anyone who had stepped into the natural disaster class and managed to awaken the divinity had the strength to dominate the entire world. So, having such a terrifying elder in his Titan clan, who might have even awakened divinity, naturally meant that he truly had a reliable backing. And, nodding slightly, Yuziyu, in the form of the soaring purple python made from the purple cosmic roots, stated directly, "We now reside on the backside of the world and are on good terms with the divine tree. If you have matters, you may seek him out." At this point, the ancient voice added, "Also, I will be keeping an eye on the martial arts tournament." "Yes, Elder," as if thinking of something, Oblo's face suddenly turned excited, and an indescribable fighting spirit began to surge within him. "The Elder will be paying attention to the martial arts tournament. It means, if I perform well in the tournament, I might even have a chance to meet the Elder." Thinking of this, Oblos clenched his fists tighter. Pop, pop, his bones creaked as an indescribable, terrifying aura began to surge in all directions. The next moment, a towering phantom of a giant mountain, seemingly supporting the entire world, slowly appeared, centered around Oblos. Divinity, mountain god, unawakened connected with the mountains, it grants its user the majesty of 1,000,000 mountains and also the attribute of indestructibility, making it difficult for its user to be harmed by mortals. Even in its unawakened state, the occasional overflow of its energy can cause extraordinary phenomena. Divinity is indeed an incredible power. I wonder if my soaring purple python has a chance to awaken it. Murmuring, Yuziyu withdrew the soaring purple python. However, no one noticed that his gaze toward Oblos held an unspoken hint of amusement. Divinity, even if Wuxia did not awaken it, he could just copy it. It was a simple yet forceful measure, but it still works nevertheless. With his innate talent, absolute evolution, he could easily completely replicate the divinity of a young titan once this young titan fully awakens it. Still, considering that divinity was a high-level power, Wuxia was not entirely sure to what extent absolute evolution would be able to replicate it. I should be able to bear such a power, right? With doubts in mind, Wuxia also looked at his roots. His primary root had already transformed into an azure dragon. In the hierarchy of life, the azure dragon should be one of the highest forms of life. Giving it a second thought, Wuxia reckoned that bearing divinity should not be a big issue. More importantly, Wuxia could vaguely feel a terrifying power brewing within this azure dragon, and that power seemed to be no weaker than divinity. He, my azure dragon still holds many secrets. With a soft chuckle, Wuxia became lost in his thoughts. Though he had the status screen, the power still in gestation was hard to observe. The reason was simple: when it came to powers he did not understand, even if he noticed them, he tended to selectively ignore them. And the power currently gestating in his body was just like that. It surpasses his own understanding and was still in gestation. Even with the status screen, Wuxia could not get a clear picture. At this moment, in the depths of misty mountains. With the interlude involving the young titan, the atmosphere became even more intense. Countless mutant beasts kept arriving one after another. For a moment, even the inner region of misty mountains could not accommodate them all. However, with 9 tails overseeing things, everything was orderly. The mutant rat clan, one by one, was guiding the numerous mutant beasts to their respective resting places in a methodical and orderly manner. Meanwhile, humans from Smoghaven and Crescent Moon City were explaining some necessary knowledge in various corners. Although most mutant beasts now possess intelligence, they were still not as intelligent as humans. After all, humans had been prospering and progressing in this world for thousands of years, while mutant beasts had only progressed in a few short years. The gap between them was not something that a few years can bridge. Simply put, humans were a mature intelligent race, whereas mutant beasts were more like immature children. This was also why Wuxia was reluctant to truly act against humans. This world needed humans. More accurately, all mutant beasts need humans. They need to learn culture and knowledge from humans. Learn everything that could be learned from humans, and thus truly perfect their own race. With humans, the growth rate of all races in this world will be faster. Reflecting on this, Wuxia recalled the planet with life he had discovered recently. A planet with humanoid lifeforms, still in a primitive age. They ate everything raw, plants and even animals, and drank their blood. Their bodies were covered in nothing, but beast hide and even leaves. For weapons, it was either wooden spears or stone axes. Whereas this planet, not to mention humans' missiles and cannons, even the Sea Clan and some mutant beasts were clad in steel armor. The gap was truly enormous. This disparity is precisely why Wuxia dared to plan for the outer reaches of the universe. Compared to this world, that planet is at most a primitive land. With a playful smile, Wuxia was determined to conquer the planet with the elves. Amidst the misty haze blanketing everything, a hubbub of voices filled the world. In the blink of an eye, the grandest event in Misty Mountains, the martial arts tournament, had arrived. Raising their gazes slowly, a vast and boundless prairie came into everyone's view. At the end of this prairie were several peaks piercing through the clouds. Shrouded in mist, the peaks were barely visible, but one could still see and feel the whistling spiritual energy. Suddenly, roar, a thunderous tiger roar shook the world as fearsome and powerful sound waves swept across the entire Misty Mountains. Immediately, under the awestruck gazes of countless mutant beasts, the clouds on top of a peak disperse, revealing a snow-white figure, with its snow-white fur fluttering along the wind. Its cold and beastly eyes flickered intermittently in the storm. The center of its forehead was adorned with a faint golden mark. This was White Tiger, also known as the Evil Tiger, the most feared beast of Misty Mountains. Accompanying the startling roar was a surge in spiritual energy, stirring up a massive storm. At this moment, the attention of countless mutant beasts was completely focused on the distant, cold, and majestic figure. At this moment, White Tiger slowly stepped onto a giant rock, revealing a rare hint of excitement on his face. He seemed to be enjoying the attention. However, this hint of excitement was so subtle that, apart from Wuxia in the depths of the void space, others had not noticed it. Of course, White Tiger, standing amidst a fearsome tornado, exuded a fearsome majesty. And combined with White Tiger's reputation, few mutant beasts were brave enough to look directly at him. The martial arts tournament is the first grand event of Misty Mountains. Here, the outstanding talents gathered include not only the clans from the depths of Misty Mountains but also the newly joined elites. However, martial arts competitions must have winners and losers, and battles will inevitably have outcomes. Therefore, we need to determine the top 108. The top 108 will receive increasingly generous rewards, with the first prize being a light elemental fruit. Moreover, the top 20 will have the qualification to meet the divine tree. White Tiger gave a simple address, his voice reaching the ears of every mutant beast. What was even more terrifying was that, whether it was an illusion or not, everyone felt his voice as if it was ringing in their ears with an indescribable clarity. So this is the terror of natural disasters. With a gasp, a mutant beast from outside Misty Mountains looked astonished. Experiencing the power of a natural disaster class expert for the first time, he felt restless. The fact that the voice reached his ears with utmost clarity despite the speaker being thousands of meters away left him in shock at the thought of the depth of White Tiger's spiritual energy. What shocked him even more was White Tiger's terrifying control over his spiritual energy. Exchanging glances, these mutant beasts from the wild, who considered themselves somewhat capable, immediately suppressed their pride and arrogance. They could not help but be modest, because this is Misty Mountains, the most powerful force recognized by the entire world, reigning at the top of the human world. In fact, although there were many natural disaster class experts on the continent, standing at the top of their respective forces, few of these solitary mutant beasts from the wild had truly witnessed the power of natural disaster class mutant beasts. This was why they were so shocked, witnessing White Tiger's use of spiritual energy for the first time. The martial arts tournament is extremely simple. There will be 3 rounds of tests. After these 3 rounds, the top 1,000 will be selected, and then they will compete in duels to determine the top 108, and eventually the true champion. White Tiger gave a brief description of the entire process. In this regard, he also did not delay things. However, at this moment, with a grin, White Tiger stated, the first round of the test is the gravity test. Next, Bull Demon will change the gravity of this area. Those who can endure until the end will pass the test. As soon as he dropped these words, boom, a thunderous clap shook the earth before an endless purple halo began to spread from the edge of the flat prairie at a speed visible to the naked eyes. Consequently, with thunderous rumbles, the ground began to sink continuously, accompanied by dust and spiritual energy as well. Gravity field, an ability that allowed Bull Demon to easily manipulate gravity, significantly increasing or decreasing it. At this moment, with a thunderous step, a small part of the prairie trembled. Then, under the astonished gazes of mutant beasts and humans, a purple-black vortex appeared at the horizon of the prairie. This purple-black vortex seemed to devour everything. Just a mere glance at it made many mutant beasts feel as though their spiritual energy had been significantly drained. Bull Demon. Second among the 9 great beasts of Misty Mountains, also a rather mysterious existence. I didn't expect him to also reach the natural disaster class. In a voice of disbelief, a steel rhinoceros with armor-like skin had his pupils contract. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly reached his ears, Big Brother, I feel this test is not very friendly to us." The moment these words rang in his ears, the steel rhinoceros, along with a slightly smaller steel rhinoceros beside him, suddenly had their legs bent, before their entire body slumped to the ground with a thunderous clap. Ugh! Staring in a daze, the steel rhinoceros looked somewhat bitter. They were mutant beasts from Misty Mountains, from the Steel World, a forbidden zone they once conquered. Most mutant beasts from the Steel World appeared as if they were forged from steel. Compared to mutant beasts of the same tier, their defense could be described as terrifying. Except, with their formidable defense came an astonishing mass. Ordinary mutant rhinoceros weighed about 100 tons, but he weighed over 1,000 tons. Every step he took caused the ground to shatter. Now, in this first round of preliminary, their advantage in weight had turned into a disadvantage. Boom, 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 one roar after another, the steel-like mutant beasts from the Steel World, visibly sinking into the ground. At this moment, a deep voice suddenly echoed across the area. In this first round of the preliminary, we're the endpoint. The closer you get to us, the more terrifying the gravity you will have to endure. However, let us remind you that even if you do not advance, the gravity's intensity will continue to increase with time. If you cannot endure it, you can call for help, and we'll rescue you. As Bull Demon's indifferent introduction continued, he slowly lifted his gaze, quietly observing the more than 3,000 mutant beasts at the edge of the prairie. 3,000 was not a particularly shocking number, however. What if all 3,000 were Tier 3 Transcendents? A wide grin appeared on Bull Demon's face, sporting a hint of amusement. No wonder the Nine Tails went to such great lengths to invite me back from the celestial realm. For such a test, only Bull Demon, who excelled in the gravitational force, could truly disregard the number and suppress them all. To say, suppress, was not quite right. An apt description would be to provide the fairest possible test. Roar, roar, deafening roars suddenly erupted in a distant corner, where countless spectating mutant beasts outside the test field witnessed one mutant tiger after another slowly raise their bodies. Then, giving out another round of successive roars, their spiritual energy surged, and they began to run wildly across the prairie. Their every step shook the ground, leaving a trail of dust. To think that they can freely move under such gravity. They're truly worthy of being the second-ranked clan of Misty Mountains. The Tier 3 mutant beasts of the wild were somewhat amazed and in disbelief. However, what they did not know was that the most famous hellish training ground in Misty Mountains was Bull Demon's gravity field. Although their tiger clan, compared to the first-ranked chimpanzee clan that frequently resided in Bull Demon's gravity field, may not be as experienced, they were still formidable. However, the frenzied sprint of the mutant tigers seemed to have become the signal, the start of the round. Roar, roar, roars and howls echoed one after another. Immediately, the spectating mutant beasts witnessed clouds of dust swirling at the edge of the prairie as various unique and bizarre mutant beasts erupted their spiritual energy. One mutant beast was suddenly on fire. It looked like fiends straight out of hell. It was a mutant beast from the Forbidden Zone, Steel World. Then, there was a gargantuan black turtle, as huge as an island, yet flat as a land. This was the Tier 3 mutant tortoise, the great earth tortoise, nearly invincible in defense at the same tier. In some corners, humanoid figures could be seen moving swiftly, turning into dark shadows as they charged towards Bull Demon's purplish-black vortex. Wuxia, rooted in the depths of the void space, suddenly grinned and secretly transmitted, increased the gravity to 20 times right now. They are all Tier 3 mutant beasts. Gravity of this level is nothing to them. Yes, Master, responding, a hint of amusement covered Bull Demon's face. 20 times gravity was no joke. This level of gravity would put a significant burden on an ordinary Tier 3 mutant beasts. Gravity was an invisible force that not just affected the outer surface of the body, but also affected the internal parts of the body. And as Bull Demon adjusted the gravity, roar, 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 amidst the sudden cries of agony, many mutant beasts on the prairie were seen being thrown into disarray. Several humans, seemingly unable to endure, were also affected. Puff, puff, crying out in pain and misery again and again, a large amount of blood was spurted from their mouths. At the same time, in Yu's perspective, the speed of the participants on the entire prairie slowed down by more than 10 times, even the mutant tiger clan and chimpanzee clan were no exception. 20 times gravity was a considerable challenge for them as well. It's finally getting interesting. With a light laugh, Yu's gaze swept across the mutant beasts. Now was the best time to observe these mutant beasts, as any promising talents with good abilities could finally be easily noticed. Yu's gaze swept across calmly. For his existence, there were very few mutant beasts that could catch his eye, even the elite mutant beasts from various parts of the continent. However, at this moment, Yu's eyes suddenly narrowed, seemingly noticing something. In Yu's gaze, inside the purple aura shrouding the test field, where even the sky felt like a mountain pressing on them, a blood raven with crimson eyes struggling and fluttering into the air. Boom! With every flap of his wind, crimson feathers fell like blood, accompanied by an even stronger shockwave. Boom, 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 accompanying louder and more deafening roars, giving the impression of the blood raven, about the size of a baseball, adapting to this terrifying gravity. Suddenly, he soared and shot towards the purple-black vortex created by Bull Demon. To be able to flap his wings under Bull Demon's 20 times gravity field, this little raven is quite impressive. Marveling, Yu's face revealed a hint of interest. After all, Bull Demon's gravity field was particularly more lethal against flight-type mutant beasts. It significantly affected the agility of flight-type mutant beasts. Moreover, agile mutant beasts often had fragile physiques, and found it particularly challenging to withstand the 20 times gravity acting upon them from all possible directions. Additionally, the gravity was also acting upon the inside of the body. Thus, a blood raven standing out in such conditions, and even being second in the race, naturally attracted Yu's attention. Yu promptly focused his gaze, and moments later, a red status screen appeared before Yu's eyes. Race, Undying Blood Raven. Rank, Tier 3 Innate Talent, Undying Blood Raven. Unlike ordinary creatures, the Undying Blood Raven's body consists of countless blood ravens, each an independent entity, yet they can merge to become a more powerful life form. The consciousness of the Undying Blood Raven is controlled by the most powerful individual among these ravens. To them, death is merely a return to the main body, including consciousness and memory. Therefore, killing each raven requires erasing its soul, otherwise, it will soon face the mad revenge of the Undying Blood Raven. Unique abilities, Descent. If fatal injuries are sustained, spiritual energy, soul, and memory will all return to the most powerful blood raven individual. When all the blood ravens are dead, the true Undying Blood Raven will descend. Piercing Cry. The unique cry of the blood raven can tear apart a person's soul. Restoration. By sacrificing lifespan, all injuries can be erased, returning to the strongest state. Cursed Eye. Its blood-red eyes are cursed, and can cast a curse with just a gaze. How interesting! Staring in a trance, Yu's gaze towards this blood raven gained a new depth of fascination. As a Tier 3 life form, this blood raven was just an undying blood raven, one among countless blood ravens. Although not all of the blood ravens were Tier 3s, it just showed how terrifying the true Undying Blood Raven could be. According to Yu's speculation, the true Undying Blood Raven could at least rival the top 10 natural disasters. Interesting, marveling, with a flash of thought, Yu fully understood the mysterious nature of the Undying Blood Raven. If my guess is right, this so-called Undying Blood Raven would split into thousands every time he cultivates. Then, he sends out these thousands of blood ravens in all directions to continue growing. Even if they encounter danger, it is of no concern to the true Undying Blood Raven. In fact, that's what the true, undying blood raven is anticipating. Death, for each blood raven, is merely a return to the most powerful individual. As long as, when splitting into thousands of blood ravens, he subconsciously retains some of his own power. He slowly waits for the return of the blood ravens, and then absorbs their power and souls, triggering qualitative changes through quantitative accumulation. The benefits of such cultivation are naturally self-evident. Compared to other beings, the cultivation speed of the undying blood raven is at least several times, if not dozens of times, faster. If a split-off blood raven encounters good fortune and manages to reach tier 3 like this one, then when this tier 3 blood rave dies, the true undying blood raven's power will surge significantly. However, thinking further, Wuxia also understood the greatest drawback of this cultivation method. But, if a blood raven surpasses the undying blood raven's main body, does that mean the power of the dead blood ravens will flow towards that blood raven? Contemplating this, Wuxia looked at the lesser blood raven straining to flap its wings under Bull Demon's gravity field, with a hint of intrigue in his eyes. This was a tier 4 transcendent sending himself to Wuxia's doorsteps, and an exceptionally eerie and powerful natural disaster class powerhouse. If Wuxia spent some effort cultivating this blood raven, the result could be quite spectacular. After all, each blood raven had his own consciousness, and they desired strength more than any mutant beast. After all, if they were weak, they would inevitably be devoured by the main body. Therefore, these blood ravens would naturally strive to become stronger. This aligns with the true intent of the undying blood raven. After all, the growth of split-off individuals, no matter how fast, could not surpass the continuous growth of the main body with countless returning blood ravens. It could even be said that as long as the undying blood raven's main body was smart enough to retain 50% of his power and let the other 50% transform into thousands of blood ravens, it could absolutely prevent the split-off ravens from replacing the main body in receiving power. Unless there was external interference. This almost monstrous evolutionary method was despairing for individual consciousness, but from another perspective, he was extremely terrifying, because it meant that the power of the undying blood raven was almost unstoppable. The only difference was whose consciousness was the true main body. Smiling, Wuxia's expression became even more intrigued. He was bored, and now, he had finally found real amusement, and this amusement was the lesser blood raven struggling in front of him. The first round of the preliminaries was still ongoing. Compared to before, the speed of these 3,000 tier 3 transcendents was now like a turtle's crawl. Among them, there were few gigantic beasts that looked like they had walked out straight from the depths of the steel world. Every step they took caused the earth to shatter. However, this did not mean they were in a sorry state. Compared to other mutant beasts, they appeared steady and powerful. Despite their cumbersome bodies, their outstanding physique granted them a stability far surpassing that of ordinary mutant beasts. Thump, thump, thunderous footsteps shook the plain like an earthquake. Looking up, a gigantic steel beast with a black, metallic sheen was walking on the plains. Compared to the steel behemoth from the steel world, the most eye-catching were the mutant beasts of Misty Mountains. Roar, roar. Giving out thunderous roars, over 100 giant tigers were rampaging across the plains. Not too far away from them, polar bears, walking on their fours, were also unwilling to show weakness. However, even though they were maintaining this speed, they were still wary of the dozens of giants in the distance, getting farther and farther away. King Kongs, the royals of the top clan of Misty Mountains, the chimpanzee clan. Each King Kong had a terrifying physique that was not inferior to the steel beasts of the steel world. What was even more terrifying was that every existence that grew to become King Kong must pass through Qin Gang's hell trials. And one of the trials happened to be the trial of gravity. Once, twice, thrice, the sweat and blood they had shed was not in vain. The cold, stern expression on their faces was silently telling a story. Thump, 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 their footsteps were uniform like an army's. Like a beast's charge, but with movements that humans could not match. At a glance, they did not look like the enlarged version of chimpanzees, but the cream of the crop from the human race. Is this the top clan of Misty Mountains? Suppressing the shock in their hearts, not only the spectating mutant beasts, but even the participating humans fell silent. Yes, this is the top clan of Misty Mountains, also known as the legendary warrior race. Each of them can take on 10 of the same tier. And if they fought as a group, they could take on enemies dozens of times stronger than them. In a deep and resonant voice, a mutant tiger, who just surpassed the great earth tortoise, explained, his voice carrying a hint of reverence. Compared to other clans, the chimpanzee clan was truly worthy of reverence. Among the mutant beasts, they were known for their powerful physiques and incredible strength. And now, under the guidance of instructor Qin Gang, they had not only strengthened their bodies but also grasped the techniques that only humans could master. Hiya, heaving a sigh, the mutant tiger could not help but think of the last time they fought, when 6 of his brothers, all mutant tigers, surrounded and attacked a King Kong, only to be defeated miserably. A true monster. Fantastic. Yuziyu praised, feeling satisfied that his efforts had not been wasted. As the strongest clans in Misty Mountains, the 3 clans, Chimpanzee Clan, Tiger Clan, and Polar Bear Clan enjoyed resources far more than other clans. Now, they had successfully absorbed those resources and completed their true transformation. The weak may not always be weak, but the strong would only get stronger. If the mutant beasts of Misty Mountains and the mutant beasts of the wild were not on the same level, then the mutant beasts from these 3 clans were strong beyond anyone's imagination. To put it simply, while human prodigies could match a wild mutant tiger, but if they encountered a mutant tiger of Misty Mountains, they would come face to face with true despair. Even if they were in the same tier, their power and speed were not in the same tier at all. Not to mention the fact that their physique was unimaginably terrifying, surpassing the same tier, thanks to the nourishment of Yuziyu's life essence. And this was exactly what Yuziyu wanted to see now. Rather than saying it was a martial arts tournament, it was like Yuziyu wanted to see the difference between Misty Mountain's mutant beasts and other mutant beasts. Now, Yuziyu had seen it. Except for a few mutant beasts, Misty Mountain's mutant beasts were overwhelmingly dominant. And the most obvious ones were the 7 powerhouses leading the race. Except for the young Titan, the other 6 belonged to Misty Mountains. The dark tiger from the Tiger Clan, Shadow Tiger, who could fire a black shockwave with just a roar, shooting straight towards the horizon. The unparalleled prodigy of the Fox Clan, who could unleash a sacred white light that could tear through the air with just a fox howl. Giant Lightning Bear, who, dancing in the thunderstorm, looked like the god of lightning. Thorns, riding a blood-colored flood dragon. Of course, the panda, wearing a glowing blood-colored armor, almost fully armored, could also be counted as half of Misty Mountain. After all, the glowing blood-colored armor was a set of extraordinary equipment that had been taken out by Brewmaster, one that he held very dearly. However, except for these 5, the 6th one was someone Yuziyu had not expected, the Queen of Butterflies from the 100 Flowers Valley in the depths of Misty Mountains, the mutant Golden Kaiserai Hind. From what Yuziyu remembered, the mutant Golden Kaiserai Hind's ability, Dreamweaver, was an ability that could turn impossible possible, like melting her body into space. And she was also the master of the 100 Flowers Valley. What Yuziyu had not expected was that the low-key spirit butterfly would actually participate in the martial arts tournament. After all, although the martial arts tournament was a major event and was extremely popular, there were still some peak experts who did not participate, like the Guardian Snake Queen, that beautiful woman with the upper body of human and lower body of a snake. With her unfathomable strength, she too would have been leading the race. Or the 7th great beast, Tyrannosaurus. Although he was quite violent and short-tempered, his strength was real. With his terrifying physique, he too would have been leading the first round of preliminaries. Is it because of the light elemental fruit? Yuziyu thought to himself. Spirit Butterfly was a first-grade, light attribute mutant beast. Her wings were like blades of light, which could emit a beam of light that could even shatter the sky. Such an existence naturally coveted the light elemental fruit. It seems that a light elemental fruit has attracted many strong individuals. A smile appeared on Yu's lips, feeling somewhat pleased. After all, the elemental fruit that had drawn so many proud prodigies came from him. Ha ha ha! After a burst of hearty laughter, Yu suppressed his thoughts and no longer paid attention to the tournament. With his insight, he could see the potential of these geniuses at a glance, and only a few were truly worth noting. One was the blood raven, which, if cultivated, could become a terrifying natural disaster-class powerhouse. Another was the young titan, who already possessed a potential and hidden divinity. As for the others, unfortunately, there were not many who could catch Yu's eye. The first place this time will likely be going to from the peak powerhouses like Thorns and Blood Raven. Muttering to himself, Yu slowly closed his eyes and chose to further refine his body in spiritual energy. The next moment, spiritual energy surged like an ocean, howling in the depths of the void space. The void around Yu rippled with purple waves. At this moment, a deep and resonant draconic roar suddenly echoed through the void space as the azure dragon's head emerged from with Yu's canopy, opening its gaping maws. In an instant, endless spiritual energy started swirling, turning into a massive storm, surging towards the azure dragon's head. The spiritual energy was so terrifying that it could make any mutant beast tremble in fear, because not only did it devour spiritual energy, but was also consuming the energy of the void. This was Yu's azure dragon's newly developed ability, Stealing Spirit. It was a terrifying ability, and not just ordinarily terrifying, because thanks to this ability, Yu's azure dragon could survive anywhere, even in outer space, by absorbing the radiation to sustain itself. Of course, there was a side effect of this ability, which was that absorbing different energies would affect Yu's azure dragon. If the energy was too dark, too evil, it may even corrupt Yu's azure dragon body. However, despite this side effect, the terror of Stealing Spirit could not be denied. Just as Yu used the ability, Stealing Spirit, to absorb energy from the depths of void space, in a corner of the void space, Ru'er, a strange, hoarse, and spine-chilling roar echoed through the void space. Immediately after, with a thunderous footstep, the entire void space quaked, as if unable to bear the weight of the owner of the foot. At this moment, if one looked toward the source of the commotion, they would discover a massive shadow emerging out of nowhere, much to their shock and dismay. However, this shadow seems to be too massive, so massive that one could not gauge its height with just one glance. Looking at it gave the impression as if the sky was falling. It was also surrounded by a horrible stench. Hungry, hungry, its inexplicable roars gave the feeling that it was almost crazy. It was hungry, unspeakably hungry. Driven by unspeakable hunger since birth, it had been in constant suffering. And to alleviate this suffering, it devoured and devoured, consuming everything in the surrounding void space. Until one day, a bolt of lightning tore through the depths of void space, striking it with a thunderous clap. Only then did it realize that its outer shell had become incredibly hard, even resistant to lightning. However, what was even more terrifying was its enormous size, which could even be noticed without a reference point. However, even so, it was still hungry. The constant feeling of hunger had made it lose any sense of reasoning it once had. Now, only the scent of food could make it move. Roar, roar, suddenly, it let out strange, hoarse roars, filled with excitement, seemingly sensing something. Next, its massive body slowly turned, moving towards another direction in the void space. Thud, 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 each step shook the void space. Every now and then, it would come across a piece of land or stone emerging from the real world, whereupon it would open its gaping maws, and swallow the enormous pieces of land. I want more, with a mix of madness and incoherence, the speed at which the monster was moving suddenly skyrocketed. At this time, in the depths of the void space, a purplish figure, with the height of an average human, suddenly focuses its gaze. An unknown feeling stirred his heart, prompting him to gaze in a certain direction, a hint of palpitation mixed with excitement. "I can sense an unknown powerful existence approaching," muttering, the purplish figure instinctively suppressed the idea of approaching. He was not a monster driven by instinct, he now possessed wisdom and reason, and understood restraint. Moreover, he was on a mission from the divine tree to investigate if there were any void creatures in the surrounding area, and now, it had discovered one. The purplish figure's corner of lips curved into a cruel smile, knowing that a true hunt was about to begin. Whoosh, his figure instantly disappeared, transforming into a streak of purple, zooming across the void space. Void jump, an ability that was extremely perfect for the void space, which allowed him to move through the void space like a fish in water, flashing through the void space with ease. It was a terrifying ability. Except for its limited distance, it was almost perfect. Possessing this ability, the purple figure believed itself to be a true hunter. However, before starting the hunt, he decided to notify his master. "Master," a voice suddenly echoed in Yu's ear. Looking back, Yu found the usually stealthy Zi Lian appearing out of thin air, kneeling on one knee. "What's wrong? Is there something in the nearby void space?" Hearing Yu's query, Zi Lian's mouth curved into a smile as he shared his recent instinctual sense. "So, it seems that an unknown void creature has appeared in the surroundings," Yu concluded after a moment of thought, since only the appearance of an unknown void creature could trigger Zi Lian's instinctual response. Moreover, this void creature was not likely to be weak. At least it could pose a threat to Zi Lian to some extent. Otherwise, given Zi Lian's terrifying strength, it would not have felt threatened. As a matter of fact, void creatures were anything but peaceful. All they knew was devouring and being devouring, engaging in endless battles. Of course, in certain situations, the weak may surrender to the strong, but when void creatures of the same level ran into each other, they would engage in a never-ending battle. Without any external interference, they would keep on fighting without a moment of rest. "Master, I want to go," a voice interrupted Yu's thought, prompting to look, where he saw Zi Lian, still kneeling, but with a serious and determined expression, and a hint of coldness flickering in his eyes. "Are you sure?" asked Yu, a rare doubt in his voice. Unlike ordinary mutant beasts, each void creature was extremely eerie and terrifying. And just like Zi Lian, their every action was driven by an instinct for stronger evolution. They would pick a certain basic ability and develop it to the extreme, thereby undergoing qualitative changes. The fact that it was able to make Zi Lian feel a sense of crisis was a proof in itself of its terror. Keeping aside everything else, at least one thing was certain, it had the means to threaten Zi Lian. After all, as a void creature driven by an instinct to evolve, Zi Lian's senses were extremely keen. Yes, Zi Lian's spine-chilling cold voice was accompanied by a subtle smile. There was an inexplicable firmness in his voice. "Go ahead." Yu nodded his permission, extremely appreciative of this dash of confidence from Zi Lian. As Yu's shadow, if he didn't have this confidence, it would be too disappointing. Moreover, considering Zi Lian's constantly evolving strength and eeriness, as long as he was not negligent, it was highly unlikely that anyone of the same level could defeat it. As this thought flashed in Yu's mind, he cast a long, deep gaze at Zi Lian, and calmly stated, "Go, I believe you won't disappoint me." "Yes, master." With that, Zi Lian's figure blurred and disappeared instantly before Yu's eyes. The next moment, Yu's eyes could not help but flicker, gazing quietly in the direction of Zi Lian's departure. After all, watching Zi Lian leave, Yu could not help but feel concerned. If it were on Earth, it would have been fine. Currently, on Earth, there were no creatures that could threaten Zilien, but the void space was different. As the backside of the universe, the vastness and boundlessness of the void space had destined the birth of monsters beyond anyone's imagination. Among these monsters, there was no predetermined ruler. Even if Zilien was strong, he was still in danger of being defeated by some monsters that were his natural enemies. With this in mind, Yuziyu was naturally a bit concerned. "Forget it, it's not a bad idea to take a walk." Chuckling, Yuziyu no longer concealed his thoughts. The next moment, a surge of spiritual energy erupted from him with a thunderous boom, filling the vicinity with a terrifying aura. At the same time, the thickest purple root among Yuziyu's 81 secondary roots started twisting and deforming, before taking the shape of a draconic creature, under Yuziyu's calm gaze. It had a draconic head and draconic whiskers. Even its body was covered in purple scales. If not for the lack of a pair of claws under its abdomen, it would really look like a purple dragon. Even so, this purple flood dragon-like creature had an unspeakable majesty around it. Roar, a roar, seemingly a mix of snake's hiss and dragon's roar, reverberated through the void space, creating ripples after ripples. Adding more to the dread, the purple flood dragon's body continued to grow thicker and longer, evolving from the soaring purple python into soaring purple flood dragon. The most terrifying and fearsome root among Yuziyu's 81 secondary roots, possessing Titan bloodline, allowing it to grow infinitely. In addition, it also possessed the power of the void, allowing it to absorb energy from the void space. It could even be said that the potential of this secondary root was no less than Yuziyu's primary root, Azure Dragon. Currently, it had not made an appearance to the world, but it could absorb the energy from the void space. In other words, taking advantage of the void space, it could grow infinitely. This was Yuziyu's another wild ambition: cultivate this root until it underwent a metamorphosis and transformed into a sacred being, a true dragon known as Infinite Dragon. Carrying the name Infinite, it could lay coil up in void space, growing continuously. Not to mention encircling the entire planet, it could even encompass the solar system. Of course, this was just Yuziyu's idea. In fact, Yuziyu had come up with another name for it, as he did not like the sound of Infinite Dragon, Ophis, the Infinite Dragon God. It was the name Yuziyu had come up in his spare time, symbolizing his infinite expectations. Go, Ophis, protect Zilien. Amidst Yuziyu's chuckle, Yuziyu's secondary root that had transformed into a soaring purple flood dragon fiercely jolted. At the same time, its pair of flickering eyes flashed with a purple intent. Boom! Suddenly, a terrifying aura erupted from the coiled soaring purple flood dragon, before it shot straight towards the depths of the void space. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.